In other words, hit the subscribe button. Jesus. This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. Could you hear me when I said hit the subscribe button? It went down one. Man. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Could you guys hear me when I came on and said, in other words, hit the subscribe button? Could you hear me say that? Or are we on like an 8-minute delay? Okay, you could, okay. I was expecting to see some chuckles since that's not part of the actual intro. But hey, don't let me get in the way of, you know, not thinking it's funny. All right, well, we got a couple updates here. Oh, I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna do another serial killer Sunday this week. And actually, while looking up the Suitland murders, which I think is a serial killer in that one, kind of makes you wonder, actually, because it had the same apartment name, which was kind of weird. But I stumbled upon another one. You guys, maybe you've even heard of him. But I mean, he is wow. He's not one of the more famous ones, but his name is Danny Rawling. Yeah, he was one sick individual. So that's the one we'll be doing on Sunday. So don't try to go out and get all the information so you, when on the show happens, you can tell everybody everything while we're going over it. Let's just go over it at the time, and that'll be great. Okay. That's a good way to get yourself blocked. Hey, thanks, Brian Joe. All right, there we go. Yeah, we haven't done a Scunday in a long time. Serial Killer Sunday. Yeah. So let me get to the couple of these updates here. So the only update there is in the Kiera Coles is that they've got a an actual surveillance. Because remember, the surveillance they put out before wasn't really even her. It was some other person. So for years they kept saying, oh yeah, look at that, but it wasn't her at all. So remember Kiera Cole's, she works for the post office and she went missing. Thank you, Kathy Freidenmaker.
A mother's hope to find her missing pregnant daughter.
I would love to see her with her child because she is such a mothering person.
Chicago police released new surveillance video of Kiera Cole's from 2018. The last moments she was seen running errands, also with a person of interest. The CPD video includes a plea from Cole's mother
where's the
directly.
person of interest?
You could be the one that helped bring Kiera.
Running errands from 2000. New surveillance video. Chicago police released new surveillance video of Kiera Cole's from 2018. The last moments she was seen running errands, also with a person of interest. The CPD video includes a plea from Cole's mother directly.
You could be the one that helped bring Kiera home.
While initial surveillance video released by CPD was not Cole's, investigators and Cole's family hope everyone will stop to check out these new images to try and close this cold case.
If you know something, say something. You know, this
Well, thank you, Tracy.
is going on too long. And, you know, I just hope anybody out there that knows anything have a heart and finally call in.
This afternoon, community organizers prepare for the 5th annual march, We Walk for Her, at 5 o'clock at 35th and King. The purpose? To bring attention to all the unsolved cases of missing women and girls of color.
What's most important is that every case, Kiera Cole's case and every Cole case, gets the necessary attention that it deserves in Black and brown communities.
Cole's was a letter carrier. She would be the mother of a young child now.
I can't let her down. I got to do all that I can to bring her and her child home safe.
Cole's mother says a painful void remains for their family, but hopes someone with information will ease their suffering. A mother's hope to find her.
Yeah. So that's the information. They got surveillance footage. Amazingly, they didn't show us the person of interest. They showed her. I think that's her, right? I mean, so they said there was a person of interest, so why not show that image? See, this is one of those cases where the police just need to give everybody as much information as they possibly can and let society help, okay? It's just so weird. It's almost like they don't want somebody else to do it because their ego will get hurt a lot of times. You know, just come forward, give the information to the public, every bit that you can, because in this case it's a missing person. There isn't information that only the killer would know, right? There isn't anything like that. So, all right. So that was the update on that. And then remember the Carissa Fretwell case, the one that I actually went to in Salem, Oregon. This is the case where, well, let me show you the picture. You guys remember this. You guys remember that one right there, right? Hold on a second. No. Right, so you guys remember this one. This is the case where this lady here got pregnant by this guy right here named Michael Wolf, but he was married, and she was going to have the kid, and he didn't mind because, well, he minded, but she said he wouldn't be part of the child's life and wouldn't have to pay child support or anything like that. So she went ahead and had the baby, and then she fell on hard times, and then the state forced him to start paying $900 a month. See, this is exactly the scenario that I always tell you guys. He was forced to pay $900 a month for 17 years. Okay, I mean, that is a shitload of money. Okay, now you go, well, he shouldn't have. Well, that's not the point here. But this is exactly one of those cases out there. And I think they actually forced him to pay the $900. So instead of paying the $900, he went out and what was it? He was at work, and then he left work for a while. Drove all this kind of convoluted stuff he was doing. Drove all the way over to her apartment. Apparently killed them in the apartment, maybe. Then took him in his truck, and then dumped him way out in the woods. in a forest area. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. So, anyways, it said, let's see what it says up in here. The man accused of kidnapping and killing Salem woman and her 3-year-old son pleaded guilty Friday to murdering them. Michael Wolf, change of plea, took the death penalty off the table. Under the stipulated agreement, agreed to by court, he will serve life in prison with a chance of parole after 30 years. What the hell? You take death off, but he gets parole after 30? Wolf is scheduled to be formally sentenced in, well, I mean, that's a hell of a long time now. I mean, this guy's already old. He'd be 85. He's not going to make it to that. Wolf is scheduled to be formally sentenced on July 20th. It's been 1,131 days since Karissa Fretwell, 25, and her son. Wow, that's amazing. It's been almost 4 years. That doesn't seem like that at all, does it? They vanished from their West Salem apartment. Billy's biological father, Wolf, 55, so he's about 51 at the time, and she was way younger. Of Gatson was arrested and charged with their kidnapping and murders. We mapped all this stuff out. If you go back in time, you can go watch the videos. They're pretty interesting. For the first time in years, Wolf appeared in person, not by video. The man at the bench was almost a different person from the mugshot and driver's license photo shared by police during the search for Karissa and Billy. That's what he looked like back then. I don't know if you can see it, but and that's him now. Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah, it's not even close. He looked older. His hair was longer, and his clean-shaven face was replaced by full graying beard. That was a long time ago. Deputies led Wolf into the courtroom shackled and wearing a suit. Let's see. Yeah. The shackles on his hands were removed after he was seated at the table, but the restraints on his legs remained. 3 members of Karissa and Billy's family sat in the front row with the victim's advocate during a 5-minute proceeding. They were immediately escorted out of the courtroom and unavailable for comment. Family will have an opportunity to give impact statements during the sentencing. The defendant's side of the courtroom was empty, save for one woman. She wouldn't give her name, but she said she was related. Wolf responded to multiple questions from the judge in barely audible single-word answers: yes, no, and guilty. His defense attorney, Patrick John Sweeney, sat to his right and obscured the view of the photographers. His plea comes more than 3 years after Karissa and Billy's disappearance and subsequent deaths gripped the Willamette Valley community. Wolf had been scheduled to stand trial in June 2023. Let's see. Well, it turns out, though, like he admitted to, there's going to be a press conference coming up at some other point where it explains what he did. But apparently the child died of unknown causes, and he's not required to explain what he did. What a joke. Are you kidding me? No, you should have to say exactly what you did to everybody. He didn't just randomly die, the child. Yes, it says Fretwell survived her troubled teen years to commit wholly to raising her son while working part-time jobs and attending Western Oregon University. When she eventually sought financial support from Wolf, who was married at the time of Billy's birth, it may have cost them their lives. See? And that's why I tell people, see, there's psychos out there. If you want to have a child and you just kind of want, be your own child, just figure out a way to do it on your own. You'll be way more proud of yourself. You won't have to deal with the monster, and it's just better. Okay? Now, if the guy, which most guys are, they want to help, I would actually not force them to do anything and just see if, I actually think they'll give you more money if they're not told. I'm talking about the good guys, Then there's the kind that are just in the middle where maybe they need to have an amount. I don't really know. But if you have any inkling that the person's a psycho, I would not try to get child support from that person. Figure out a way to do it on your own. Now you go, God, Gray, that isn't really... I'm just telling you, we've gone over this 1,000 times. And when you look at all the cases out there that revolve around this exact thing, then you realize it. Yeah, let's see. Right, well, that's the thing, Tina. That I don't know if you guys agree or not. Do you think you should force a psycho to do child support payments? I mean, it's weird. Like, there's women on here that are different. The really strong women are the ones that always say, no way, man, I can figure out a way to raise my kid by myself. The ones that just want, the money part of it, it's wild. It's wild. Okay, I'm just telling you, my mom raised all three of us by herself, and it was harder than hell. But I guarantee it was a better life for us than having a mom and a dad screaming and yelling and having this guy come running, doing crazy psycho shit. He never paid a nickel, even though he was required to pay it. He just took off somewhere. Yeah. Now, you can, there's a lot of people that can predict it, and it doesn't really matter. How about this? If you want to have a child and you don't want to deal with the husband, because this guy was married, she knew that, and she knew that he didn't want to be outed for it, then just figure out a way to do it yourself, okay? It's really, it's amazing to me that people want to be in a situation that's going to be a nightmare. I would say the percentage of the nightmare situations is way larger than anybody out there realizes. Yeah. Doesn't even make any sense, Justina, but yeah. She couldn't predict this. What does that have to do with anything? God, it's amazing. And also the topic we were talking about last night about being, see, everybody in here knows that you should probably watch your kids like a hawk if you're at a park. There isn't anybody that doesn't agree with that part. What I don't agree with is doing the holier than thou, spouting out on a show about it, because nobody cares that you wouldn't do that. Everybody wouldn't do that. Most people wouldn't. But if you're 19, 18, 17, maybe it doesn't really cross your mind. And her actions themselves weren't like egregious. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you let your kids play at a park, are you really doing something that was just, okay, for example, I have a backyard, and my backyard is all sealed in with a fence, right? And if I let my dogs run around, let's say at the nighttime, it's like, 11 o'clock, and I let them go in the backyard, and they're running around, and they go pee, and an owl comes down and kills one of them. I am aware that there are birds of prey that could eat Chloe. Okay, I am aware of that. But shouldn't I let them out in the backyard, and I'm not paying attention every second. Now, does that mean that I'm a shitty dog owner at that point? No. But what would make me one is if, I tied Chloe to a stake, and I knew there was a few gray-horned owls up in those trees, and I didn't even, that would make me a nut job, right? Yeah, I know what I'm saying, City Dweller. I've said this 1,000 times on the show. Most people actually agree with what I'm saying. I'm saying what women should do, if you want to have your child and the guy doesn't want to have the child, you should have the child and try to figure out how to raise it on your own. Okay? That is what you should do. And you'll be a hell of a lot happier and more proud of yourself. Let's see. And I guarantee it, the guy, even without being prompted, would give money to help out all the time, because then they'd feel like they'd have some say in what's going on. It's just, God, I just hate talking to people who don't get it, you know. Let's see. So anyways, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say about the situation at the park. You know, she went to the park, let the kids play at the park, and somebody abducted them. Yeah, everybody knows it's probably way better to, I mean, it's not just probably, it is way better to walk over there and watch the kids the whole time. Everybody knows that, right? So we don't need to say it out loud like, oh my God, that person should have. Yeah, we get it. You know, we all know that already. So that's where I'm coming from when I say that. Yeah, I guarantee, this is what I really believe this. If you want to have your child and you know that the father doesn't want you to have the child and you want to have it anyways, I would find a way to raise the kid all by yourself and figure out a way to do it. And you'll be way happier because you won't have to be dealing with somebody that didn't want you to have it in the first place. And then it would be a situation where there's a way better chance of a really negative outcome. Okay, it's really, that's so obvious. Okay, and to me it's just so that's my philosophy. You can think totally different. Okay, and that's great. All right, there you go, Mama 457 Rose. There you go. Yeah, it's not really, Jessica. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Why not, though, Shelly Pink? Why shouldn't the guy... Yeah, I mean, isn't that amazing, Shelly Pink? What is the difference, actually? Other than, in the other situation, it was a live human that didn't even want the child. In a sperm bank, you know, the person donating the sperm wants people to have children. Hey, so shouldn't they look him up genetically and have him pay child support for all those children? That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Wild. Poor guy. He had 1,700 kids and they're all doctors, but now he has to pay like $2 million a year child support. Ah, jeez. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's saying, MH. Yeah, well, see, hey, City Dweller, you didn't listen to what I just said. Okay, so would you want to be a single mom with a person that didn't want to have the child? And why doesn't the man also get to have some choices in the matter? You know, like, it's just as much his child, right? Like, genetically. So what if he just signed something that says, I have no rights, I could never communicate with, and then it would be just like the sperm donor bank. Where the mom is taken off, so don't deny the... Yeah, what about the ones where the man really wants to have the child and the woman doesn't want to have it? Is that fair to the guy? It's his, just as much his child, isn't it? Right, that's what I thought. All right, so hey everybody, if you'd like to help out the channel and hear all this controversial dreck, as my mom would say, please help support the channel. We're getting the show started here. Thanks, LM. And we've already donated $500 this month so far. This month probably won't be as good as the other months because the economy sucks, but we're not doing terrible. You know, it's just. So if you guys like to help out, every $5 you get in the drawing for the mug, and if you send $25 on PayPal, you get the sketchbook. Right, where you can take notes on, oh, did you hear what Gray said? He was just... Yeah. What makes you so happy to be here today, LM? What happened? I think that's one of the things that makes me the most proud about my mom is that she raised 3 kids from, I think it was like, 1971 to 1976, all by herself, and 3 boys. She always made sure we had something to eat. She went to work all day, and then she'd come home from work and go to night school so that she could become something better at some point. Isn't it amazing? If when you want to do something, you can just figure out a way to do it instead of being lazy and going, oh, I just want to. How about you just go out and kick some ass? Is that too much to ask? Yeah. There's a lot of services out there that can help you with the child support. I mean, not child support, the child care, daycare, those kinds of things. All right. Yeah, shoot. I mean, my mom was awesome. And so I always look at her as or she is awesome. She's still alive. I mean, I'm saying while she was like the parenting mom. Yeah, I mean, I wish more women were like that. Then you wouldn't have people that comment like City Dweller up there. Just, wow. Let's see. Yeah, I guess they're just cut from a different cloth back then, huh? Oh, okay. Thank you to B Mountains and Peggy Day. Is it B? No, Mountains. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now we're going to do there was a press conference for that Grady Judd did. And then after that we'll get on to the rest of them. Might be, I don't know, it might be a longer show, I don't really know, but again, all the more reason to help support the channel. All right, so here we go.
Good Friday afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for being with me today. I have with me Chief Andy Ray from the Auburndale Police Department and Derek Blanton from the Winter Haven Police Department. We did this recent Operation Child Protector 2, and as I always say when we do these operations, the strength of our investigations simply is our partnership with the police departments. We all work together to keep this community safe. We understand that criminals don't come and go according to city limits and county limits, and neither does support services from the Sheriff's Office and the police departments. We are all one, and this is just another example. So we did a 2-week operation, just the recent of what we've done over and over and over, to focus on those that are online seeking your children. If it weren't for the heroic work of the undercover detectives from the Sheriff's Office, the Winter Haven Police Department, the Auburndale Police Department, your children could have been the victims. But they weren't, because we stood in the gap between good and evil. We made 12 arrests. They were not only from Central Florida, but you'll hear me talk about one that occurred an arrest that occurred out of Alabama and one out of Michigan. That's right, they were grooming and doing real nasty things online all across this neighborhood, this community, this county, this state and as far away on this operation as Michigan and Alabama. We say that we'll chase those child predators to the ends of the earth that want to harm our children. We've done that. You've heard me talk about us arresting a person in Australia and bringing them back here for trial. Well, we only had 2 from out of state this time. But here's what is important to understand, and I want the parents to understand this. These aren't traditional criminals. 9 of the 12 of these folks don't have a criminal history. Did you hear what I said? 9 of the 12 don't have a criminal history. But what they are doing, these evil people are lurking online and grooming children online to engage them in sexual conduct. 4 of the arrests traveled. The others, as you'll hear in a minute, provided very raucous communication, sent pictures, inappropriate pictures, nude pictures, action photos of sexual conduct to what they thought was 13, 14, 15-year-old little girls or little boys. So let me introduce you to some of them. This is Lawrence New. He lives on the Lakeland Highlands Road in Lakeland. He thought that he was traveling to have sex with a 13-year-old child. That's right. He came from South Lakeland to our undercover location at the far northeast end of the county, thinking that he was going to have sex. He said he cherished the idea about teaching this 13-year-old girl about sex. He sent nudes and action film of him doing inappropriate things. His wife of 7 years was in another room.
Did you hear what I said?
Sleeping.
Thanks, Jessica.
Whenever he did this. Oh, I'm sorry. She was in another room when he did this, and he had to wait for her to go to sleep so he could sneak out of the house to engage what he thought was a 13-year-old child. So let me focus on this a minute. He's in one room, his wife's in another room. He's sending all kinds of ugly things to what he thinks is a 13-year-old child. Then he leaves after she falls asleep and travels all the way across the county. He confessed. We've got him locked up in jail. He's the owner of Omnia Inc., which deals in disposing medical supplies, used medical supplies. Oh, did I tell you Citrus County Sheriff's Office also has a criminal charge waiting against him as well? But we've got him locked up here now. So this is not new for him. He's 67 years old, and he's a deviant. He's a child pedophile. He's a pervert. And now he's a jailbird. Then there's Christopher Valise. He's 33. He's from Tampa. He sent explicit photos thinking he was sending them to a 14-year-old child. And he told her, I don't want to get in trouble, so let's keep this between us. Where does he work? He doesn't work. You see, he's at home on disability and SSI. That's right. So while all of us are going to work, earning money, paying our taxes, he's getting our taxpayers' money to sit at home and groom little children online. He didn't travel, but he instructed what he thought was the little 14-year-old girl to destroy the messages and the pictures because I don't want to get in trouble. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, what would an...
See, this is like the PCI predator hunters. You know what? I don't think until that show, to be honest with you, on YouTube, I don't think until that show did I realize the sheer number. I mean, they're just in this small area. And these guys, every single week, have, 42-year-old guy trying to meet a 13-year-old girl, a 60-year-old trying to meet a 14, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So after a while, you start realizing this is a much larger problem than any of us really realize, well, great, I did. I was really... No, you weren't, okay? This is way more than any of you really know. I mean, and any of us really ever thought. Yes, we know there's a lot of predators. We see the maps and everything. But there's a whole bunch of them that aren't even known. Like, there's way more that are not known that are out there. It's just incredible. Just one after another. Unbelievable.
Operation B. Either a pornography investigation or a predator operation.
Thanks, Ellen.
Or a human trafficking operation without a Disney employee. We always have a Disney employee, sometimes more. This is Zachary Hudson. That's right, he's the bus driver for Disney. He did not travel, but he sent nude and lewd
that guy looks like a
pictures
cartoon
of himself.
Character.
He thought it was to a 15-year-old.
You know what he looks like a little bit is the guy that used to be on Lassie, and then he's an adult. And when he became an adult, he was also on a Star Trek episode when he was the original Star Trek, where he was this little kid running this really powerful little ship. Yeah, forgot his name, but
girl. And he said to her while grooming her, what we said could get us all in trouble. And he said how he would like to wrap his arms around and feel her small, tiny body. Then he said, are you ready for this? You can't make this stuff up. I don't want to sound creepy. Well, you just sounded creepy.
Oh, God. You don't want to sound creepy. But
So he reiterated to what he thought was this little girl.
Let me hear that part again.
This, you can't make this stuff up. And he said how he would like to wrap his arms around and feel her small, tiny body. Then he said, are you ready for this? You can't make this stuff up. I don't want to sound creepy.
I need that one. I can't make this stuff
Well,
up.
you just sounded creepy.
Thanks, Allie Kid.
So
all the strong single moms out there,
he reiterated to what he thought was this little girl that he...
Yeah, that's right, Mama 457 Rose. I mean, I really... do I just sound totally crazy when I say that about the moms out there? Like, if you get pregnant and you really want to have the baby, and the guy doesn't want to have the baby at all, just figure out a way to do it, man. You can do it. If you want it that bad, that means you are absolutely committed to doing whatever it takes. Work your ass off, kick some ass, and make it happen. It's just weird to me that people don't see that part. They're like, hell no, man, he's going to pay. Wow, what kind of attitude is that? That's weird. All right.
She needed to keep it quiet.
This guy is
nuts. It has to be our
isn't he?
secret. Because he said, I could go to jail. He said, but I'd risk it for spending some time with you. I'd risk going to jail. Well, when we arrested him, he confessed. Oh, newsflash,
right.
This will make Disney extra happy. He was doing this while he was on the clock for Disney. So if your bus was running late at Disney, he was busy taking pictures of himself and talking trash to what he thought was a little girl.
No, you can have sex, and if you want the baby,
Yes.
just don't, just raise it yourself.
Then there's Timothy King. He's 26, from Claremont.
Oh, God.
He rode a bike.
Look at that guy.
That's right, he traveled. He rode a bike.
They're finding all the best photos of these guys, right? I mean, this is
This dude
sick.
was on a mission. So you might ask the sheriff, how far did he ride a bike to have what he thought was sex with a 15-year-old child? 10 miles. Did you hear me? 10 miles. And he said, sometimes I get excited. He didn't use those terms, but I thought I would. He used much more graphic terms. He confessed. He said, I don't have any friends. And he was very cautious when he arrived at the house.
No, not right in the
He wanted to know about cameras. Are there any cameras? Yep, there's cameras. We got your picture. In fact, we got lots of pictures. We got pictures with your clothes on.
That wasn't Lassie, by the way.
Anyway. Then there's Zachary Clark from Tampa. He works armed security for Brink's National Guard. That's right, that was his job. So the next time you see a Brinks truck and they jump out armed to pick up the loot.
Notice the low ears on all of this. Not so much on that one. But, you know, it's always kind of the similar sort of weirdness, right?
Brink's National Guard. That's right, that was his job. So the next time you see a Brinks truck and they jump out armed to pick up the loot from the store, who knows what he's doing behind closed doors. He traveled.
Okay, I just found the one I was talking about. That guy, this character right there, I think looks like, where is this? Hold on. Oops. That guy. But when he's an adult. See, the thing is, that guy becomes an adult later, and he looks almost exactly like that, with a big protruding forehead and everything. But anyways, all right, let's get back to it. So let's start with this guy right at the beginning. There we go, right there.
He works armed security for Brink's National Guard. That's right, that was his job. So the next time you see a Brinks truck and they jump out armed to pick up the loot from the store.
Yeah, he's Ron Howard's brother. That's right.
Who knows what
I
he's
knew
doing.
it. There was something that reminded me. It was like, okay, Andy Griffith or whatever, but you know, it was. That's right. It's Ron Howard's brother. So let's see. Hold on a second. Oh man. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, screw it. I don't want him to be associated with that. But yeah.
Behind closed doors. He traveled. He thought he was going to have sex with a 15-year-old child. Boy, was he surprised when the door opened and there was sheriff's detectives and police officers to arrest him. He said he was kind of antisocial, and he just did this to meet new people.
Clint Howard.
He said,
brother.
But don't worry, I didn't mean it. I was going to tell her mom. Well, that's as good an excuse as any when you're in a lot of trouble. This guy's 62. His name's Frank Butler. He's from Palm Beach Gardens. He's an administrator for BSG Hospitality. But he was in the Orlando area at a resort. So, hey, he thought he would confront a 13-year-old female. So he started the communication and he traveled. That's right. He traveled from the resort.
Hey, thank you very much, Velvet Army, for the PayPal. Do you want the... notice his ears, too, right? It's kind of weird, right? Do you want the notebook? If you do, send me a message with your address.
To meet what he thought was a 13-year-old female. You know what's interesting about that? His wife of 27 years was at the resort, and he had to wait for her to go to sleep. So his wife of 27 years, who thinks they're at the resort to have a great weekend, she falls asleep, he sneaks out and goes to the undercover operation to have sex with a 13-year-old child.
See, what's cool about Grady is when he does a press conference, he lets you know exactly what the hell's going on and why these people are being arrested. And then at the end, your questions are at a whole different level. You know, well, today we've arrested some people for child exploitation. All right. So, any questions? It's like, man, this guy, he goes through each one, and explains to you, and then you realize what deviants there are out there. I think he believes that people need to be informed on what goes on out there instead of coddling us all because they get to know, the media gets to know all the crazy things that goes on, the videos and the sick stuff out there, but they're helping us by not exposing us to the same information because they are so much more incredible at handling information than any of us. We don't have the ability to do so. And so that's why I have my warning at the beginning of the show. I'll just tell you whatever the hell it says in an article. Unfortunately, your videos get removed sometimes if you put too much crazy stuff in them.
Well, he thinks. But then he told the detective, once again, you can't make this up. He's not a bad guy. He said, I'm just not a bad guy. He said, you know what I was going to do is wait at the house with this child to tell her mom, as soon as she come home, what this child was doing. Yep. And then when we explained to him about the undercover detective and not the 13-year-old.
I want to hear more about what this guy
of 27 years who thinks they're at the resort to have a great weekend. She falls asleep. He sneaks out and goes to the undercover operation to have sex with a 13-year-old child.
So he went on a trip with his wife and then he take that.
But then he told the detective, once again, you can't make this up. He's not a bad guy. He said, I'm just not a bad guy. He said, you know what I was going to do is wait at the house with this child to tell her mom, as soon as she come home, what this child was doing.
Wow, so he's really trying to be helpful. He was an undercover guy
himself. And then when we explained to him about the undercover detective and not the 13-year-old child, he said, well, what did I do wrong? It's just words. Well, newsflash, words matter. Words got you locked up. You were grooming a child. You agreed to meet a 13-year-old child because you, in fact, were going to have sex with that child. Why your wife of 27 years slept blissfully in the resort down the street. He says he doesn't prey on children. So anyway.
He's just helping out, man.
We asked him what his wife would think about all of this. He said, my wife wouldn't subscribe to this. That's why I had to wait until she went to sleep.
Wouldn't subscribe to my undercover work that I'm doing. She doesn't believe in that.
This is a stereotype of a predator and a pedophile.
That's right.
Then there's Michael Ochino.
And by the way, the low ear things is, I'm just, I'm goofing around, but it is kind of interesting how some do have that look, I mean, you can have low ears and you're not a pedophile,
He's a forklift driver for PepsiCo. He had conversations with 3 different undercover detectives from the police department and the sheriff's office. That's right.
Huh?
He thought he was talking to 13 and 14-year-old children during his conversation. He said that
it was going on back then too.
He would like to stay with them.
It's been going on for a long time.
He talked about making babies with the children. He didn't travel. But then he said something that was really, really, really scary. You see, our undercover detectives said that they were down here with their mom on vacation and talked about, during the conversation, the relationship. He said, look, you can stay with me, and here's how you do it. You walk away without your mom seeing you. She won't know where you are. You're from another part of the country. And then you wait for me, and I'll pick you up. Is that scary or what? He was giving what he thought to be a 13-year-old little girl directions on how to escape from her mom, and he was going to pick her up. Then what? What's next? He's 57 years of age. Here's a guy that didn't travel, but he communicated from St. Clair, Michigan. He's unemployed. He thought he was talking to a 14-year-old child. He would say things like he thought she was sexy. He instructed this child how to delete their text. And he told her, I can't resist how young you are. He's in the St. Clair County Jail on our warrant, where we were assisted by the police authorities there arresting him. Well, Roger, buddy, welcome to Florida, because this is where you're coming. It's not going to be a vacation, unless, of course, you consider the state prison an extended stay resort.
Does he work on these lines before, or they just come right?
And then there's George Matthews. Here's what's interesting about old George. He's 66 years of age. He's from Ozark, Alabama. Are you ready for this? His job? He works at Fort Rucker. He's a Black Hawk mechanic. He works for M1 Support Services, which is a civilian company contracted to work on the Black Hawks. He sent very explicit images of himself to what he thought was a 13-year-old child. He did not travel but he said he would like to. He made statements to the 13-year-old that he was old enough to be her grandfather. And then he engaged in some very nasty chat. Well, when he came to work the next day and he crossed onto the base, the military police arrested him. By the way, that base, if you're not familiar with Fort Rucker, is the Army Aviation War Fighting Center. He had chats with this 13-year-old not only while he was at home, but also while he was at work. I hope he didn't get so carried away with his chats that he forgot to put all the parts back on the Black Hawk helicopters. That could be a real problem. He's in the Dell County Jail, and he's not going to be flying here on a helicopter. I'll guarantee that. All right.
You know that those PCI predator hunters should move to a place like this, where Grady would actually do something about it. It seems like when I always see on that, the police show up and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah. And it's hard to really know whatever happens after that.
I'd like to turn this over to a dear friend of mine and colleague. We worked together at the sheriff's office for 25 years until retirement age came, and then he went to be the police chief in Auburndale, and made me very proud to see one of my captains and one of the most talented people we've ever had work with us go on to be the police chief. Chief?
So, 25 years here and 10 years at Auburndale, 35 years in this business, and these things still bother me, and they make my stomach turn. And if you're a parent and you have kids, or you're a grandparent and you have kids that are dear to you, do what you can to protect them, because the internet is a dangerous place. Make sure that you're monitoring them. Make sure that you're having conversations with them. There are a lot of nefarious actors out there, and we just want parents and grandparents, people who are responsible for kids, to be aware of that, and to talk to their kids about it. It's an important conversation to have. So thankful to the sheriff and his people for putting this operation together.
Yeah, that's right, the Velvet Army. When you watch true crime, after a while you start, looking around, noticing things that maybe you don't need to, but you do now,
And always thankful for the opportunity to be a team player and a partner to keep this county safe. So thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you, Chief. Next we have Derek. Derek Blanton is with the Winter Haven Police Department. In fact, his father and I patrolled as deputies way back in the day. And so it makes me exceptionally proud to see Derek follow in the footsteps of his dad. Derek.
Good afternoon. The members of the Winter Haven Police Department are more than happy to have participated in this operation. We'll be more than happy to participate in future operations that may come about. We're dedicated to doing our best to protect our kids in these situations. And I think it serves as a good reminder for both parents and the bad guys that, you know, we have really good detectives. So does the sheriff's office and the Auburndale Police Department that are really good at their jobs, and they won't hesitate to put you in jail if you're involved in this type of situation. Thank you to the sheriff's office and Auburndale Police Department for also participating in this and having us participate as well. Thank you.
There's probably a problem when you have like private entities doing the sting operations, you know, like you have PCI Predator Hunter. I mean, the police don't have any control of, nor do they know exactly what they're doing, so maybe it makes it harder for them.
Our folks collectively are simply the very best in the business.
What are you talking about, Justina?
Investigating and searching out and
why would I
looking for
want
these
to?
predators.
I don't want
But
to.
Parents,
Man, you're so focused.
these
in
folks
on
will
that.
walk
It's
boldly
weird.
into your home while you're there and groom your children if you don't know what your children are doing online. With that, is there any questions?
It seems like not too long ago we were here.
Yeah, tell you what, Justina, you should start a channel and just do shows on testosterone. Okay, there you go.
Talking about, you know,
I'm not
Child
interested.
Protector 1, that operation that took place. Can you kind of describe the scope of this issue in Polk County?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, the overwhelming majority of these people weren't from Polk County. But what we do is we throw a wide net. This time it went as far as Alabama and Michigan to arrest people. So, and my challenge would be to the police agencies and sheriff's offices who aren't doing these operations across the United States, why not? Because that's where the predators are. That's where the child pornographers are. They're all online. And they're looking for children to attack. So when you look at these operations, you understand that my passion, my absolute top priority is to protect the children from sexual predators. Children are supposed to be innocent, but at 13, 14, 15, they're curious. And the next thing you know, this person's shown up in the gaming room with them or with the child chat room with them, looking for those who are alone or lonesome or sad or in need of attention. And that's who they focus on first. So at the end of the day, it's a Polk County solution to a nationwide problem. So we chase you to the ends of the earth. And I also applaud my colleagues from ICAC around this state and nation that do the same thing. But there's a lot of police agencies that don't. And if you don't, I will. We're gonna find them, because it's as important for me to save a child from a predator in Alabama or Michigan or Alaska or any place else in the world, Australia, as it is in Polk County. These people will get to your children if given the opportunity. And if they never travel to put hands on them, by the time they groom them and send them all of this ugliness, it certainly breaks down the barriers so that someone else can attack them.
Sheriff, one of our reporters would like to know, where was the Disney employee arrested? Was he arrested on property or near Disney property? Or?
I'm not sure where he was arrested because he did not travel. We went to him to arrest him. So I don't know if they called him up, you know, from work, but I believe he was in uniform when, in fact, I'm sure he was in uniform when we arrested him.
And Sheriff, you've been doing these operations for years, and used to be really large numbers. Do you feel like you're making an impact? I mean, the numbers of the people being arrested.
Mari Harris.
Seems like these days. What kind of impact do you think you're making?
Certainly, I think we're making a significant impact because when we first started these operations, 10, 12, 15 years ago, we were arresting 30, 40 a week. And this was a good week to get 12. So the difference is child pornographers can go into the deep dark web, and they're very difficult to find. We do, but they're deep dark web people that understand that. It's very difficult. But child predators have to surface. They have to go in the chat rooms. They have to go in the gaming rooms. They have to be where the children are. So by virtue of us not arresting as many as we used to, it doesn't mean they're not out there, because they are. Have some of them become more savvy? Certainly they have with education, but we truly believe we're making a difference. We truly know that we're saving children's lives and protecting them from deviants such as this.
Do any of them express any remorse, or are they just sorry they got caught?
Cares.
Most of the time they confess, occasionally they don't. Most of them, the remorse they display is because they got caught. Occasionally one will be just obviously honest and say, yeah, I shouldn't have done it, but I did, and now here I am. But most of them have an excuse, and most of them are just sorry they were caught.
Do we know how many additional suspects detectives are still looking for?
Well, do you know that this is an ongoing process. We never quit investigating these folks. We know that we have, they have to go in the chat rooms. They have to go in the game and protecting them from deviants such as this.
Do any of them express any remorse, or are they just sorry?
I missed what he said.
Most of the time they confess, occasionally they don't. Most of them, the remorse they display is because they got caught.
They got caught, yeah.
Occasionally one will be just...
Yeah, so here's the thing. When they, in a case like child predators like that, if somebody expresses remorse, that should go against them, because when they express remorse, that means they're admitting that what they were doing they knew was wrong the whole time, and now they're remorseful because they got caught, and that's really about it, right? And so that's the thing, is when they're saying, yeah, that means they're admitting to knowing, not that there's some weird different level of psycho who didn't know. But those don't exist either. So
obviously honest and say, yeah, I shouldn't have done it, but I did, and now here I am. But most of them have an excuse, and most of them are just sorry they were caught.
Do we know how many additional suspects detectives are still looking for?
Well, do you know that this is an ongoing process. We never quit investigating these folks. We know that we have warrants out for 2 more that we're not showing who they are now, because we want to get them in hand first. So we will catch them. We also know that we're online now. We are all the time looking for these deviants. So wherever you are in the world, if you've been talking nasty and sending nasty pictures to what you thought was a child, we're after you. And if we didn't get you last time, we'll get you next time. And then I'll have a picture of you, and I'll badmouth you just like I did these. That's a guarantee.
You said the operation lasted about a week.
This one was 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so for what do you think that you kind of alluded that it takes teamwork and other municipalities to come together for that? What do you think it needs to be done nationally as law enforcement together to kind of really put a major dent into it? Because you said that some of them don't do these operations. So what do you think needs to be done?
Sure, I think that's a very good question. First and foremost, we have to have parents quit being in denial. Second, parents have to understand the first line of defense is at home. So they need to be all up in their child's business. If you give your child a cell phone, I recommend first, don't let them out in the internet world. Bring games in, lock down the cell phone, Or if you're going to let them into the internet world, then you need to have an app on your phone, and there's good apps there where you can trace and know everything your child's searching up or who they're talking to. You have to do that. If not, these folks will get to your children. And then law enforcement agencies need to work together. Listen, we've got a very large agency, and we can do a predator operation without the assistance of the police department. But we can't be as successful without our colleagues. The more we have investigating, the more they help us, the more robust the investigation and the more arrest we can make. These police agencies that are standing with me today and others that have been in past operations with us are simply the very best. And we all care about the children, and we don't care whether they live in the city or in the county or in the state. We want to protect them. So for the small agencies across the nation that just don't have the resources to do it by themselves, there's ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Or you can put your own task force together. And there's many ICAC teams across the nation. We will teach you how to do this. Free. You just have to put the resources together. And I challenge the moms and dads. I like moms because when moms gets on you, you either make it better or you're miserable. Go to your local police department and sheriff's office and say, I know you're small and can't handle this by yourself, so when you can get together with your other police departments or other sheriff's offices or state police and put one of these operations on to protect our children in this state. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much. I hope you all have a good weekend. We will see you the next time somebody does something really stupid.
Yeah, there we go. That might be a good line right there. What is that one?
Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much. I hope you all have a good weekend. We will see you the next time somebody does something really stupid.
There you go. There you go. That'd be good.
Guaranteed. Take care.
All right. Well, guess what time it is? It's support the channel time. All right, because we got to keep on trucking here. We're about 30% of the nightly deal after the first hour. I know the press conferences are always a killer, just like me reading. And I'm going to be doing some reading here in a little bit. So, anyways, I would appreciate it. We're 2 days over half of the month now on the home stretch. All right, let's see. Let's do the... All right, so the next one, there's almost no information on it. And we're going to go ahead and... hey, thank you guys. LM and Eugenie. Thank you. Very kind, very kind. All right, let's see. Yeah, so this one almost has like no information. Thanks, Billy Juliana. The reading fee. Awesome. So let's just see what we can put together based on what is in these articles here. Maybe here in a second. Thanks, RM Bill.
Reading fee.
Reading fee. Oh, and Colin Pendleton.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
For giving attention to the Suitland Parkway murders and for being nice tonight.
I'm being nice? What happened?
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca.
I haven't been that nice. I timed somebody out.
Thank you, Gray. You're awesome. Cool face.
Here's my jail cell, though. Look at this. Isn't that better? Look at that. Hey! I'm so mean! Yeah. Yeah. So it was interesting. The name of her apartments, in this case, are Gatorwood Apartments. And then looking that up, there was another Gatorwood Apartments in Florida that led to the serial killer for Serial Killer Sunday, which is weird. I mean, why would there be another Gatorwood apartment? You know, it's not even that far away. You know, it's like in Gainesville or something. This is in, what the hell is the name of this area again? I think I'm covering it up with, go higher. Oh, Shri. Well, no, that's a different place. Never mind. Hold on a second. It was like in Louisiana. I'm not sure why it was on that scene. All right, so this is a town called Lake City, Florida. And if you were panned out, it's up near the top, right there. And I think it was, here, watch, what do you guys think of this? So when you look at this, that doesn't really look like apartments, although it does look like maybe a projects or something. See how all the homes are all the same size, basically. But if you go back in time and you look at it, it really looks like it is especially right there. Doesn't that just look all uniform like it is an apartment complex, especially the way the cars are parked right there? So I think that's what this is. I don't know if they were converted. I mean, it does still look like there's still parking in front of all of them. So I think it's still an apartment area. Hey, thanks, Being Nancy. On PayPal there. All right, so let me just, there isn't really that much on this. See, this is what I'm telling you, the disparity. This case right here, if it was racially different, would have had tons and tons of coverage. And the reason I can tell you that is because when you listen to what is known, it's crazy. The disappearance of Detra McGuire was the second episode of season 1 of True Cold Case Files. So that's actually been on television. On the night of November 3rd, 1988, a child was thrown from a moving vehicle that was traveling on Interstate 10 west near Lake City, Florida. Arundel Stokes of Lake Butler was driving a semi-truck shortly after in the child's path and nearly hit it. When he got out to see what he nearly hit, it was a girl about 2 years of age lying in the road. Another motorist named George Champion went to the nearest gas station to contact law enforcement. The next day, the Columbia County Sheriff's Office received information that a woman and her child had went missing. The mother's name was Detra Victoria McGuire, and the child's name was Rashonda McGuire. Rashonda was 2 years old. All right, so let me, I don't know if this is more episode stuff, but that was just sort of a basic piece of information. It was more in this, like this Word document. I just pasted from Facebook. I mean, that's all there is. There's almost nothing. Detra was last seen leaving her residence at Gatorwood Apartments off Huntsboro Street. So that's why, and it's in this town. So here is Huntsboro Street, and these look like that's all it is too. Huntsboro Street is from here to here, so it has to be that these were apartments right here. And she was en route to the store at 7 p.m. on November 2nd, 1988. She disappeared with her 2-year-old daughter, Rashonda McGuire. They lived with Detra's other child and Alara Murphy, her boyfriend, in the same apartment building as Detra's parents. Okay. A few minutes after 9 p.m. the same day, Rashonda's body was found lying in the middle of the road on eastbound Interstate 10 between Highway 441 and Highway 41. Well, let's see where that is. Okay. There's there's 441 and 41. So it's saying on East Interstate 10. Okay, that's weird. Oh, so there it is, 10. So it's right in here. So there's 41, 41, and east. So that means on this side of the road and in between. So it's right around in this area. Rashonda body. So somewhere right around in this area. Just, and the truck swerved to miss. Oops. After a few minutes after 9 p.m. the same day, Rashonda's body was found lying in the middle of the road on eastbound Interstate 10 between Highway 441 and Highway 41. She had road rash, bruises, scratches, and abrasions. Her neck was broken. Her head was bleeding, and she had no pulse. She was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. Detra's vehicle, a black 1988 Nissan Sentra with the Florida license plate number 729 AWC, was later found abandoned in Ellisville truck stop. Let's see if that's still there. In Columbia County, Florida. All right, let's see. Ellisville truck stop, Columbus County, Florida. Ooh, gee. Oh, that'll work. So is that what they call it again? Hold on. It was Ellisville truck stop. Is there a town called Ellisville around here? Let's see. Oh yeah, that's it. So that is Ellisville. And there it is. Either that one or this one. So her vehicle was found right around in this, we'll just say here. And let's just take a look how that would work physically. So she's right there driving and then takes the first off ramp after throwing, whoever it is, throws the body out, takes this off ramp, and then heads straight down this way. Yeah, and then it looks like that's how you would do it, right? So it's right there. You take 441 and then merge on the 41 right there, and then boom, you're right here in this town. And then her vehicle was dropped off. Was it her? You know, with some kind of weird postpartum situation? Or? I doubt it. Detra's vehicle, a black 1988 Nissan Sentra Florida license plate, was later found abandoned at Ellisville truck stop in Columbia County, Florida. There was no sign of her at the scene. Detra had a mole on the right side of her neck. She was last seen wearing a gray shirt, striped blue jeans, and pink bedroom slippers. No one has ever been charged with Rashonda's death, but authorities stated her mother was not a suspect. Her boyfriend is a person of interest in Detra's and Rashonda's cases. Interesting. He has not been charged in her case, however. He took a polygraph test days after Rashonda's death and failed it. Detra's disappearance and Rashonda's murder remain unsolved. And believe it or not, that's basically it. You know, like, it's crazy. Nothing. So here it is, missing date 11/2/1988, age 23, city. I mean, wouldn't this be a? Let's just see what we vote here. If this was a blonde lady and she threw her blonde little child out on a little girl and she died the same way, how big do you think the manhunt in this story would have been in 1988? I mean, this thing would have been like in every paper and just this really crazy story, and it just wasn't at all. There is zero newspaper articles that I could find in newspapers.com or the other one on even, Rashonda or a child being found. Okay? And that's just I'm saying this often because I think it's something that needs to be changed. I mean, it is a lot different now than it was then, but it's still not the same. And that's why you're going to have a lot of more unsolved cases, because nobody was covering it, nobody was talking about it, and people weren't coming forward, and there you go. Okay, so unfortunately, that's all I've got. So it sounded like she was living with a boyfriend that... Let me just read it here. They lived with Detra's other child. Okay, so Detra was last seen leaving her residence at 7. She disappeared with her 2-year-old daughter, Rashonda McGuire. They lived with Detra's other child and Elera Murphy, her boyfriend, in the same apartment building as Detra's parents. A few minutes after 9 p.m., so just 2 hours later. Wonder why they suspect him. What motive would he have there? Was Rashonda his kid? Or, let's see, they lived with Detra's other child. Well, was the other child a product of her boyfriend and Rashonda wasn't? But yeah, I don't get it. It's a weird one. And where'd she go? I mean, what a sick person to take a baby and just toss it out a window like that. That's just man, that's some sick shit. Okay, well, now we're moving on to the main story. So that's all I can do on that one, unfortunately. There's really... Hey, City Dweller, can you just not comment as much? It's just you always try to throw out these little clever one-liner sentences, and they're really not. They're I don't know, they're childish to me. I'm sorry. Okay? So just either join in like regular people or, do something else. Hey, thanks, Your Gypsy. Yeah, child maintenance. Yeah, the maintenance of the... well, why? He's the boyfriend. If it's not his child, then why would he care? He'd just take off. Hey, thanks, Your Gypsy. Your Gypsy. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I couldn't find one article. You'd think that for sure some reporter would have picked up on the case of a baby being tossed out on a road, right? Wouldn't that have been a bigger story?
Tuning in freaks, but always in Gray's corner.
Awesome. Okay. So this one's a little bit longer. See, there we go. This one, it's got some stuff in it. Well, thanks, George Gypsy. And again, if you send in 25 on PayPal, you get a notebook sent. You just have to give me your address. And don't worry, I'm not a psycho. I don't even store them. if you win something again, I have to ask you again because I just get your email. And yeah. Not his child would make him maybe want to murder the child. Huh? Why would it not being his child want to make him murder the child and the mom? See, to me it's weird. Unless the child is his, then it would make sense that he might kill. I mean, it doesn't make sense to regular humans, but then it's similar to the Karissa Fretwell case where he didn't want to pay child support. However, it didn't say that it was his child. It just said he lived with her other child and her boyfriend. So if the boyfriend did it, he comes home and he's still with one of her children. Unless, again, we don't know because there's no information. Was that child that was still there a product of him and her, and thus he wanted to keep that child, but he didn't want to have his wife, the girlfriend, and the other baby, But it's weird because he could have just left and I don't know. I guess what would be in that scenario would be that he couldn't have just left because then he'd have to, he'd owe money for his own child. If the other child that was there was half his, but if he had just taken off, then he probably wanted to have custody of his own child. I don't know. That just seems like a really weak reason at that point to kill, Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the answer is. You'd just be pure guessing at that point. Yeah, well, that's out there all the time. City dweller, that's the thing, is when and we've covered, I would say close to 2,000 cases on here. It doesn't seem like it, but it's true. There's nights we do 4 or 5 cases, and we do 363 shows a year, let's say. There might be a couple nights where, it's just, there's a huge disparity. I mean, a massive one. Cases that I don't cover, and I have no interest in covering, are gang-related shootings and drug cartel stuff. I just, there's really nothing you can do about it, and there's no way to figure out something. What I do think is that those types of murders, like the gang shootings in Chicago, need to be cleaned up. Somehow, somebody needs to do something. You maybe go in there with the cameras turned off, and you just take care of, you get the stuff worked out. Because this is ludicrous to not be able to live peacefully in the United States. Just like in Chicago, it's a freaking war zone. Now if you're in the nice parts, you think, oh, it's great here, it's awesome. Well, it's not in parts of your city. I mean, you can't ignore that there are, how many people get murdered in Chicago on an annual basis? I bet you it's 1,000 plus, Let's see. Let's type it in. How many people die in Chicago annually? Homicide in Chicago. Got to pay for that one. Okay, according to the department, 2021 ended with 797 homicides. That is 25 more than this is in 2021. Then were recorded in 2020, 299 more than 2019, and the most since 1996. And there were 3,561 shooting incidents and 2021 in 2021, which is just over 300 more than were recorded in 2020. And a staggering 1,415 more shooting incidents than were recorded in the city in 2019. And that's in a city where it's hard as hell to get guns. Isn't that amazing? There was no woman thrown, Cindy. Where did you get that? That was never mentioned at all. They just found the car. They've never found her. She's a missing person. The mother's a missing person. The child was found on the road, and the car was found at a truck stop. Yeah. All right. Anyways. Okay, you guys ready? So this is back in 1987, January 15th. I wonder if it's possible though. That serial killer did these, because a serial killer did do these. But I'm wondering if the one that I'll be talking about, because it's only, maybe he was in prison during this time though. I don't know. All right, here we go. So, is it Suitland or is it pronounced Sweetland? Does anybody know? Sweet 1, Suit 2. I just want to make sure. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Wait, now I don't even remember which one I said.
Suitland.
Suitland. There we go. See? I just listened to it. Got it. All right, you guys, gonna need some energy when reading. I was wondering whether the mother, Yeah, City Dweller. We're moving on to something else now. We can wonder all day long. We don't know why she threw if she's even the one. They suspect the boyfriend. Okay, that's what they suspect. So we're gonna lean towards that ourselves because we don't know. All right, they probably did all the research they could, and they knew that she wouldn't do that. She loved her kid and everything. So, all right. So Prince George's County Police ended their search of 10 acres of woods and thick underbrush near the Bradbury Heights Recreation Center last night. This is January 15th, 1987. Concluding that the total number of young women's bodies placed there in recent months was 5. That's crazy. The search was uneventful yesterday. Fortunately, we found no more bodies, said Bruce Gentile, a county police spokesman. The woman whose body was found in the woods Sunday was identified late yesterday through dental record charts as Pamela Maria Malcolm. This is sort of reminding me of like the Lumberton stuff of Suitland. So it was Pamela Maria Malcolm, 25 years old, of Suitland. Miss Malcolm, reported missing by her mother on October 22nd, was an employee of the U.S. Patent Office and lived about 2 miles from where her body was found, police said. I think I couldn't find where the rest of them live. But it seemed like she did have an address right there, and that's not 2 miles. The bodies were all found in, so there's Whitehall Square apartments here, and they were found in this wooded area right here. Right back in here. Is that crazy? Let's see. So her mother on October was an employee of the U.S. Patent Office. Another body was found nearby at 10 a.m. Tuesday. So when there was some clothing on a tree, and somebody found, after looking around at the clothing, they found a body. Then the police came out there and cordoned off like an 8-acre area, and they found 4 more bodies. So it was a serial killer dumping ground. Tuesday was tentatively identified as that of District Columbia woman, but medical charts needed to be studied before positive identification. 2 other bodies, including that of a woman discovered later on Tuesday, remained unidentified last night. All 5 bodies recently found in the area have been of young black women. The first was identified, that of Dorothy Miller, 20, of Southeast Washington, discovered by children playing northeast of the recreation center. Miss Miller died of a drug overdose, according to the state medical examiner. All the other women, however, were apparently stabbing victims, and their bodies were found just southwest of the recreation center, within 100 yards of one another. So I can tell you exactly what this killer did right here. He went and drove right into this parking lot right here. And either they were alive or something, but either way, he pulled up into here and he put their bodies in the wood or had them walk. We don't know if they were killed on the scene, but they were actually really small black women. And it said southwest of the park, so it'd be south. So that means like right over here. Let's just do, I think it's going to be, let me put it, yeah, I got it on yards. So it's probably, well, it's not going to be it. I'll use this instead. Probably right around in this area, right here. That's what I would say. All right, so as Miss Miller died of a drug overdose, all the other women, however, were apparently stabbing victims, and their bodies were found just southwest of the recreation center, within 100 yards of one another. 3 of the victims had been dead about 2 months, police said. Despite the obvious similarities in the description and the deaths of at least 4 of the victims, police will not say the crimes are necessarily linked. Okay. Okay, right. They're not necessarily linked. It was just this known dumping ground. Yeah, come on. All right. Thanks, Linda Howe, as in Linda Moulden Howe, of the Cattle Mutilations and Crop Circles. Last 5 bodies identified. Investigators yesterday identified the last of 5 women whose bodies were found in a wooded area of Suitland.
Ocean wave, love the Freak family, heart.
Thank you. Yep, the Freak family is pretty awesome. The latest discovery, like the 5 in Prince George's, was of a black woman thought to be in her 20s. Her body was found at about 11 a.m. in an alley alongside an apartment building on East Avenue Northeast. Okay. Like the 5 in Prince George's, I wonder if this is identified the last women. Let's see. Found in a wooded area in Suitland as police in Washington look for possible links to the death of the 6 women. Okay, so I don't know if that one's related or not. Police said the body was nude, had 1 stab wound. So this is another body that was found. The latest discovery, like the 5 in Prince George's, was a black woman thought to be in her 20s. Her body was found at about 11 a.m. in an alley alongside an apartment building on Eastern Avenue Northeast. Let's just see where that is. So that's Eastern Avenue Northeast. How far does it keep? Yeah, still northeast there. Yeah, it's hard to, we're not going to be able to tell. But it's way over there, and this dumping ground is over here. So, I mean, the similarity in that is that it's a black woman in her 20s, and she was stabbed, so there's, 4 of the 5 women whose bodies were found in the woods and thick underbrush near Suitland Bradbury Recreation Center between December 13th and January 13th had been stabbed in the upper torso, according to police. An autopsy determined that a drug overdose was the cause of death in the other case. Prince George County Police refused yesterday to confirm or deny reports that all 5 women had been sexually assaulted. The victims in those cases have been identified as Dorothy Miller, 20, an unemployed resident of Southeast Washington, found dead December 13th of a drug overdose, 2 days after she was last seen by 2 roommates. Juanita Wells, 30, also unemployed and a resident of Southeast Washington, found dead with stab wounds December 27th. Police say she was last known to have been alive October 30th and was not reported missing before her decomposed body was found. Pamela Maria Malcolm, 25, of 2500 block of Darrell Drive in Suitland, reported missing by her mother October 22nd, an employee of the U.S. Patent Office. She seems to be kind of like an outlier, you know. In Arlington, she lived less than a mile from the site where her decomposed body was partially clothed, was found stabbed on Sunday. So that's not the... Well, she's an outlier in terms of she had a job, but she was stabbed like the others, and then there's one that died of a drug overdose. Thanks, Jessica Schubach. Cynthia Westbury, 22, an unemployed resident of Southeast Washington, reported missing November 11th and found dead Monday morning with stab wounds. Her body was discovered as more than 50 detectives and police cadets hunted for clues in the earlier cases. And then Angela Wilkerson, 22, also unemployed, and a resident of Southeast Washington, found dead with stab wounds in the park area during Monday morning's search. Police said she was last known to have been alive January 5th. So all these murders are in this kind of a short window, like maybe from October to January. A spokesman for the Prince George County Police said at least 4 of the deaths, those involving stab wounds, appear to be related, and that detectives were trying to pinpoint the whereabouts of all 5 victims before they were killed and apparently dumped in the Suitland Park.
Ocean Wave.
The woman found dead in the District of Columbia yesterday, several miles from Suitland Park, has not been identified. So, and I guess, you know, that could be related. And those articles were the 15th, 16th of 1987, January. Now this is an article from the Washington Post that's actually just in an archive site from 1987, January 17th. On October 30th, friends and relatives of Juanita Walls gathered at the Southeast apartment to celebrate her 26th birthday. Walls had been unemployed for weeks, but her mood remained upbeat. Friends and family said. Always the careful dresser, she pulled on a checked flannel jacket and dark wool slacks and walked out the door saying she'd be back later. Cynthia Westbury also was a stickler for appearance. Like Walls, her clothes were carefully coordinated and her hairstyle a matter of particular pride. Westbury, too, was energetically seeking work. On November 9th, she left her Southeast apartment for the evening in matching denim jeans and a jacket when the U.S. Postal Service called several days later to hire her as a mail clerk. Wow. Westbury wasn't there to receive the welcome news. In recent days, both Walls and Westbury were found dead in the woods near the Bradbury Recreation Center in Suitland. Sexually assaulted and stabbed, they are 2 of at least 5 victims whose deaths bear striking similarities according to Prince George's County Police. Yesterday, police continued seeking to unravel the common threads that may tie together the brutal slayings of 5 women and perhaps a 6th, who lived in the same general vicinity and resembled one another physically. So maybe that 6th girl they mentioned. We have 5 points from which we can start, said County Police spokesman Corporal Bruce Gentile. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but we've got to go out and find the pieces before we can put it together. In Prince George's County, 25 investigators have been assigned to the case, police spokesman said, and are working 16 hours a day looking for a common point at which the lives of Walls, Westbury, and the other victims have been intersected. Details of the lives of the 5 victims remain somewhat sketchy, but friendly and family of several of the women, and friends and family of several of the women said they seemed to share a common will to succeed against sometimes tough odds. Police have not found any immediate connections between the victims and likely suspect. None of the victims have criminal records or associations that would suggest a possible link according to police sources and court records. Yeah, that's what it said in the article, Cindy Dweller. Yeah. In addition to physical similarities, all were relatively small black women in their 20s with short hair and light to medium complexions. Police also noted that 4 of the victims lived within about 1 mile radius of each other in southwest Washington, while the 5th lived in Suitland. Yesterday, that's interesting. So, you wonder if some of them happen to be doing sex working since they were unemployed. Sounds like they were looking for work, though, so I don't know. I don't really know how to look at that. Because how would somebody... it's just weird. I mean, what was the connection of all 4? Was there a bar around there that you could go to and they got picked up on, or something else? I don't know. Yesterday, D.C. police were still trying to identify another murder victim whose body was dumped in an alley in northeast Washington. It was another young woman, and police said possibly the 6th victim in a string of slayings. Meanwhile, relatives said Cynthia Westbury, 22, had attended H.D. Woodson Senior High School in Northeast, worked as a file clerk in the city's Traffic Control Bureau, and as a hotel housekeeper. Occasionally, she took classes in computer processing while scanning the newspapers for jobs. She also took the Postal Service hiring exam. She too did? Or wait, who did the other? Hold on a second. Maybe that's the connection. Westbury too was energetic. So Westbury, when the U.S. Postal Service called several days later to hire her. Wow. And then down here we've got, she also took the Postal Service hiring exam. God, wouldn't it be weird if it was somebody? I mean, that's pretty weird, right? Both women that were murdered were looking into the postal. I mean, in this article, the 2 that they mentioned, that was all she ever talked about, was getting a job. It was just a fundamental of life, getting her own place, having a car, furniture, said her uncle, Morris Westbury, a postal worker. So he was a postal worker, her uncle. It was just such a hard thing for her over here. I don't know why. She was very talented. She was a smart girl. Normally shy of the faster side of the area's nightlife, relatives said Westbury was seen by a friend on the night of November 9th, just a few doors from her home, getting into a large gold-colored car with a man wearing a dress hat. She never returned. A few days later, the phone rang at the Westburys with a job offer for her at the post office. What? Okay, so this is the Westburys, and then up here is... Oh, so that is Cynthia Westbury up there. Okay. Not Juanita Walls. I was going to say, man, that's too much, but that's the same person. Normally shy of the faster side of the area's nightlife, relatives said Westbury was seen by a friend. Okay, and then down here. Hey, thanks, Hella Tricks. They keep skipping back and forth between the people, making it hard to remember. Thank you, Gray, for everything you do and the time you dedicate to the freaks. Yeah, no, it's... I mean, today I basically spent almost the entire day getting this stuff together and then starting to build the Serial Killer Sunday. That case is crazy, man. It's crazy.
Thank you, Gray, for everything you do and the time you dedicate to the free heart case.
Well, thank you.
Man.
Appreciate it. Walls, a one-time computer processor. So I think we're down here, right? Pamela Marie Malcolm Suitland was set apart from other victims in one respect. She had a steady job. So there you go. Malcolm, 25, who shared an apartment with her mother in the U.S. block of Darrell Drive Southeast, earned $14,149 a year as a clerk at the U.S. Patent Office. So, yeah, another kind of... I mean, I know the post office is pseudo-government, but she was a good worker with a good attendance record, and her prolonged absence had been considered unusual. Malcolm was last seen by her mother around 7:30 p.m. October 22nd, when she left to walk to a local liquor store. Huh. So at 7:30 at night, she went to a liquor store. So that's one. Now we know where she was headed. Angela Wilkerson, another victim, lived with her family in an apartment building in the 2400 block of Hartford. Maybe we should, let me see if I can get some of these in here. All right. 2400 Hartford Street. Yeah, that didn't do it right. Okay, and this is Angela Wilkerson. I just put their names up here randomly. Oh, oops, spelled it wrong there. Well, where did I put it? Way over here, okay. Alright, so this is the general area where she lived. Probably in those apartments right there. So there's Angela Wilkerson. And then the one before that was Malcolm, 2500 block of Darrell Drive. 2500 Darrell Drive. Okay, yeah, so that's actually the address right there. I mean, I found it on in the been verified. So it's way less than they said it was 2 miles. That isn't even close to 2 miles. That's, you know, a quarter at the most, quarter mile. It's not even close. Okay, so we got those ones right. Now, let me go back up to the top here. Where does it say they live? I don't know if it does. It might have. I think it said something up there. On, let's see, Newcomb Street. What's this one here? Okay, so 2400 block of had been arrested December 21st for allegedly shoplifting clothes at Zaire department store in Temple Hills about 2 weeks before she was last seen near her home. On Newcomb Street Southeast, the apartment where Dorothy Miller once lived is vacant now. A neighbor said Miller, 20, was unemployed, had appeared one day last year with a girlfriend and moved in with a tenant on the second floor of the small building in the 500 block. So 500 Newcomb Street. Oh, crap, man. Jesus. Don't tell me. Oh, God. I think I saved stuff, right? Nothing worse than... Google Earth is the most unstable program out there, but we'll see how it went. Okay, it's looking good. Okay, so this is Miller, right? So this is 500 Newcomb Street. Alright, so this is where Miller lived. Right around here. I'm just trying to do, like, you got to get the geographical information in there. There we go. And let's see, what was the other one? 2400 Angela Wilkerson was yeah, it's 2400. That one didn't get carried over. 2400 Hartford Street. Okay, so I gotta move that one, and then I'll save it. Anyway, I think everything at that point is should be all good now. And then what about Wells? Where does she live? So we have Pamela in the right spot. We now have Dorothy in the right spot. Angela in the right spot. So we don't have Cynthia yet or Juanita. So hopefully, does that come up next? Let's see. And it's Juanita Wells. Let me type in Wells up here. She's not even in there. I don't think. No. Oh, Walls. It's not Wells. Jeez. Summer Wells. I got the Summer Wells in my mind, I guess. On October 30th, friends and relatives of Juanita Walls gathered at her southeast apartment to celebrate. Walls had been unemployed, but her mood remained upbeat. Cynthia Westbury. Okay, in recent months, Walls and Westbury were found dead. We have 5 points in Prince County investigation. Police have not found any immediate connection between the victims and likely suspect. The bodies of 5 of the victims were found in isolated wooded area. Meanwhile, relatives of Cynthia Westbury, 22, had attended H.D. Woodson Senior High School in Northeast, worked as a file clerk in the city's Traffic Control Bureau, and a hotel housekeeper. Occasionally, she took classes in computer. Normally shy and fast for that. In another apartment a few blocks away. So where? Let's see. Large gold. Westbury was seen by a friend on the night of November 9th, just a few doors from her home, getting into a large gold-colored car. It doesn't say where she lives, though. Wait, no? Yeah, well, maybe it'll come up later. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So, all right. Got that one out of the way, and now we're going on to January 22nd, so 5 days later. Guardian Angels arrive. Probably Curtis Sliwa, I would imagine, would be mentioned in there. The purpose of the Guardian Angels for coming here is to hopefully prevent any more slayings by suspects police believe to be a serial killer. Oh, and there it is, Sliwa. There he is, Curtis Sliwa. What we hope to do in the next couple of days is to let this killer, or killers, the psycho who feels that it's open season on women, know that women and well-intentioned men in the community are not going to sit back. They're not going to stand by while women are made to be an endangered species, Sliwa said. Alright, well there you go. Guardian Angels kicked in. Then on the 23rd, several dozen leads in the deaths of 5 women found recently in Suitland have failed to link their murders. Okay, right. We've not been able to find that one elusive link that will lead us to the killer. Gentile said investigators have taken dozens of calls from friends and relatives of the victims, who were all black women in their early to mid-20s, with short hair, or one of the people was 30, though. Detectives have searched places such as nightclubs, bars, and stores the women frequented in the Suitland area and in southeast Washington, where 4 of the 5 women live. All right, then on the 25th, another archive. Inside a narrow conference room in Prince George's County Police Headquarters, a chart topped with photographs of 5 women whose bodies were found in Suitland in recent weeks covers almost an entire wall. Beneath the pictures of the 5 young black women are details of their lives. You know, there isn't one picture of any of these people in the papers. Pieced together by investigators through hundreds of interviews with people who knew the victims, friends and relatives, along with neighbors, store owners, bar owners, and casual acquaintances. With each new bit of information, the charts columns that chronicle the lives and habits of each victim grow down the wall, and each new fact generates more paperwork that fights for space with typewriters, plastic foam cups of coffee, and full ashtrays on the room's only table. The windowless room in Forestville is the command post for the task force of 25 detectives assembled from the department's homicide, sexual assault, domestic violence, and district investigator squads to investigate the deaths of the women who police believe were victims of the same killer or killers. Investigators have been working 16-hour days on the case since the 4th and 5th bodies were found on January 13th during a search of a wooded area at the Bradbury Recreation Center north of the Suitland Federal Center. But aside from striking physical similarities shared by the 5 victims, police have been unable to chart any information linking all of them. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Police sources said they believe that 2 of the women frequented Clancy's restaurant, a bar on Good Hope Road. I wonder if that's still there. I doubt it. Oh, by the way, I gotta go draw my little thing I had in here. Is anybody there? You guys always do this every time. You just... Alright, let's see. What was this circle I have up here? What's this from? I don't even know what that's from, what case it is. It's an orphan pin. Yeah, but see, that's what happens. Everybody listens, and then there's no activity. Anyways, I got to go use the restroom. So here, let's play this. wasn't really that entertaining for you guys. But right now, you guys, we're about 60% of a normal night. Every time we do the reading, it just plummets into oblivion. But if we want to do the drawing at the end of the show, we're going to have to get more support. But it's really not about that. It's about, on a nightly basis, helping support the channel and the charities at the end of the month. Because we're at $86,750 since January 2020 to charities. All right, here we go. I'm going to get back to the... I like just having that button now on my Stream Deck. I just press the button and there it goes. Alright. Is this the one we were just on? Yeah, I think we were on to, there was an article right here. Yeah, so they frequented Clancy's Restaurant, a bar on Good Hope Road. How about we just do a bar on Good Hope Road. I can't imagine, maybe there isn't. Wow, where's Good Hope Road? Hold on. Okay, there's Good Hope Road. Wow, that one. Well, see, if Juanita Walls doesn't live there. That was just luck. I just put her there. That she doesn't live there. We don't know where she lived yet. Hey, thanks, Lane Dune. I like saying Laney Dune. All right, so let's just put a pin right here. Good Hope Road, and then we say bars on, and then we'll see any close to there. Bars on Good Hope Road. Okay, there's one just right there, but that wouldn't count. So maybe there just isn't one there now. How about bars near? Oh, there we go. That definitely could be one. Open Crumb. You know what I hope is if they have one of those old, remnant signs from... Yeah, that could definitely be it, right? That was called Clancy's Restaurant. Well, it's actually a bar, right? So let me just put that right here, and then we'll do. This might be a long one tonight, you guys. Yeah. Clancy's Restaurant. And what's the name of this place again? It's yeah, well, it's actually Washington D.C. Some of this. So we'll do, just Maryland. 1980, 1986. Maybe they have an address in the paper. Is it spelled like that? Yeah, so it's Clancy's, yeah, just like that. There. Yeah, I wonder if it's not Clancy's Restaurant. Let me just do that. Just Clancy's all by itself. Yeah, I don't see it. So there you go, Dan. If you're out there, try to find where the address of Clancy's bar was back then. Anybody in Baltimore or in Maryland there. Kind of thinking that's it right there, though. Although Good Hope goes, yeah, it starts right around in this area. I guess we could try, well, it's a bar, though. That's the thing. Okay. So that was one of the connections. 4 of the victims lived in Southeast Washington and were unemployed. The last fact particularly concerns investigators that one makes it obvious that the killer or killers went beyond the norm for the cases and sought her out from a different area. 4 of the victims lived in Southwest Washington and were unemployed. A 5th, who had worked for federal government since 1979, lived in Suitland, less than a mile from where the bodies were found. See, I said that one of them was an outlier, right? That last fact particularly concerns investigators. That one makes it obvious that the killer or killers went beyond the norm for the cases and sought her out from a different area. We need to link her to the other 4, but so far we have not been able to do that to our satisfaction. All of the women were in their early to mid-20s. That would be a huge get if they could link that, because she's so different that it would be that one connection that might lead to the killer. All the women were in their early to mid-20s with short hair and light to medium complexions. 4 of the victims had been stabbed in the upper body, police said. Evidence suggests that the victims had been sexually assaulted, police sources said, although the Maryland medical examiner said it would be difficult to determine whether 2 of the women had been assaulted because of decomposition. Police initially focused the investigation on Angela Maria Wilkerson, 21. Do I have that one? That's one of the ones I already got, right? Oh. Come on. Maybe that's one I can do. Let's see. 2400 Hartford Street. Yeah, that's it. We already got that one. Because her body was the last to be found on January 13th, and she had been dead for only 2 days. She was last seen on January 5th, while some of the other victims... Wow, she was last seen on January 5th. She was found on the 13th, but she'd only been dead for 2 days, so was she kept alive somewhere for 6 days? While some of the other victims had been missing for almost 3 months before their bodies were found. Those people who knew Angela Wilkerson would have better memories about what she was doing in the days before she disappeared because it's fresher in their minds. Through interviews with friends and relatives of Wilkerson and other victims, police have been led to several possible suspects. We've eliminated dozens of them, Gentile said. That shows that the investigation is moving in the right direction. Still, last week brought unsolicited and somewhat unwanted help to county police. On Wednesday, a dozen members of the Guardian Angels, a self-styled vigilante group, arrived in the county. Okay, so I'm going to move on now. So that was on January 25th, then January 31st. And thank you, this account on PayPal. Federal workers held in nurses' murder. Not sure held in nurse's murder. Whether the case was linked. I'm not sure if this one just put in the wrong folder or not. Let me see. I'll just skip this one just in case. I don't know. I was saving so many files earlier that maybe one got stuck in the wrong place. So, ex-gardener charged in murder. An unemployed groundskeeper for the federal government was charged Friday with stabbing to death a nurse's aide whose physical characteristics... Oh yeah, that was related. That was that other murder, the 6th one. Physical characteristics were similar to 5 women slain in suburban Maryland since December. City Police Chief Maurice Turner said his department alerted authorities in Prince George's County, Maryland, of the arrest and provided them information about it, but declined to comment on whether the cases may be linked. We'll see where the information from the district leads us, but right now we can't say they're connected. Alton Alonso Best, 30, of Washington, D.C., was charged with second-degree murder in the stabbing death of 20-year-old Janice Elaine Morton. Turner. Let's see. He was held. It's just Janice Elaine Morton, and then a person named Turner told the news he's the one that explained it to the news conference. He was held without bail after a court appearance. Best's nephew was also being questioned. The nephew, who reportedly is a district police officer, owned a black van. Okay, so the nephew owned a black van that police believe may have been used to transport the body, Turner said. Morton's nude body was found in a northwest Washington alley, so this is that 6th person. Less than a mile from the wooded area in Prince George's County, where the bodies of 5 other women were found between December 13th and January 13th. Ah, wow. So maybe because there was so much heat on that location, the person just dumped the body somewhere else. This individual right here, Alton Alonso Best. All of the women were black, in their 20s, had short hair, were 5'1" to 5 inches 3 inches tall, and weighed about 110 pounds. None had criminal records. At least 3 of the women in Maryland, and perhaps a 4th, had been stabbed to death. The 5th reportedly been strangled. So that must be the one that they thought died of a drug overdose but was strangled. Best had worked as a groundskeeper for the National Park Service before he was furloughed. Wow, so he worked for the National Park Service, and that's what this is right here. You know, that's a park. And you can go down here. Yeah. So what did he work at this park at some point? You never know. You never know. All right. So if we go back to the other article now, it makes sense. Federal worker held in nurse's murder. So it says the same thing. Morton lived 3 miles from a wooded area of Suitland, Maryland, where 5 bodies were found. Best is from southeast Washington, same area, as was Morton and 4 of the 5 women whose bodies were found in Suitland Woods near Bradbury. All of the victims, including Morton, were black, in their 20s, 5'1". We got all that. Let's see. County police said they believe the 5 women whose bodies were found near Suitland Road on the Prince George's County District line were killed by the same person. The bodies were in various stages of decomposition. One woman had been dead about 48 hours before her body was found, and police said another could have been dead for 3 months. Police did not say they suspected a serial killer until the 4th and 5th bodies were found by police recruits scouring the dense brush on January 13th. No arrests had been made in any of the Suitland killings. Police in both Prince George's County and the District of Columbia originally suspected Morton's slaying may have been related to the Suitland deaths, but police failed to find a definite link and said there were differences as well as similarities and could have been isolated incidents. No way. Turner also said police would question Beth's nephew, who owns a black van in which they believe Morton's body may have been taken to the alley. He had worked as a groundskeeper for the National Park Service before he was furloughed last fall. Thanks, Charisma. Yeah, I mean, I need some energy juice in that form. Yeah. It's like you're on a lonely island when you're just reading these articles and nobody's really commenting. What are you talking about, TTJ? We already got it. All right, so let's see. Let me get the... Yeah, this is pretty crazy, though, isn't it? And then on the February 2nd, van probed for murder clues. A van police say may have been used to haul the body of a slain woman was being analyzed to determine whether blood or hair found in the vehicle belonged to any of 6 women found dead in the Washington area. It was reported Sunday. Sources said the Washington Post, the black van owned by a district police officer who is on administrative leave with pay. Wow. Sources told the Washington Post the black van owned by a district police officer who was on administrative leave with pay had blood all over the rear passenger area, and there had been an attempt to clean it up. Wow. So this cousin was a police officer? Alton Alonso Best, 30, was arrested Friday and charged with first-degree murder in the death of Janice Morton, 20. Morton's body was found in a northeast Washington alley January 15th. She had been strangled, sodomized, and beaten. District police said they have no evidence linking Morton's death with the slaying of 5 women found between December 13th and January 12th in Suitland, Maryland, but there are striking similarities. Wow. That almost feels like they're on to the right guy, doesn't it? Los Angeles and Maryland police began comparing notes Thursday, searching for a link between 2 suspected cases of serial murders of up to 23 black women. So now they're communicating with other, places. 2 Los Angeles detectives investigating the slaying of 17 women in that city from 83 to 86 confirmed with Prince George's County Police about the, or conferred with them, with Prince George's County Police about the murders of 5 women whose bodies recently were found in Suitland Park. The visiting detectives are to meet later this week with police in nearby Washington, D.C., who are investigating the stabbing death of a woman whose nude body was found January 15th in an alley. An unemployed groundskeeper, Alton Best, 30, was charged last Friday with the later death. Police are investigating the possibility he might be responsible for the deaths of the 5 women in Maryland. Corporal Bruce Gentile of the Prince George County Police said, "We have no reason to believe that the suspect here has been going all over the United States murdering people, none whatsoever. But we are covering all bases." Police say some of the 5 women, ages 20 to 26, found dead in Suitland, had exchanged sex for drugs. There you go. See, some of them were sex workers. And those are the women that will get into somebody's vehicle, and that puts them at great risk. Police say some of the 5 women, ages 20 to 26, found dead in Suitland had exchanged sex for drugs. Most of the 17 victims in Los Angeles were young prostitutes. Their bodies were found in low-income neighborhoods between September 1983 and 1986. All right. And on the 11th, back to an older article here. So it says, serial murders baffle police. At 7:30 p.m. on October 21st, Pamela Malcolm, 25, stepped out of the apartment she shared with her mother to buy a pack of cigarettes. She never came home. 9 days later, Juanita Walls, 26, left a gathering of family and friends at her apartment in nearby Washington, D.C. She promised to return but never did. See, that's what I want, is like her address, you know, like where exactly. I'll be right back, Cynthia Westbury, 22, told her sister on November 10th as she walked from the district apartment to visit a friend. You know, so was she one of the ones, visit a friend, you know, with quotes? Was she a sex worker? You know, maybe that friend, if they could figure out who that is the killer. Who knows? She wasn't heard from again. In the past 2 months, the bodies of Malcolm Walls and Westbury and those of 2 other young black women have been found in a wooded park in Suitland. Yeah, this is February 11th, yeah. I'll be right back, Cynthia Westbury, 22, told her sister on November 10th. She walked from the district apartment. She wasn't heard from again, yeah. In the past 2 months, the bodies of Malcolm Walls and Westbury and those of 2 other black women have been found in a wooded park in Suitland. Police believe they were murdered by the same serial killer, I'll say. No motive has been found, and the case points to a classic serial murderer, a sadist and psychopath who murders to obtain a ghoulish or even sexual pleasure. There are no solid statistics on serial killers, but James Fox, a criminologist at Northeastern University in Boston and a nationally recognized expert on the subject, estimates from 100 to 200 people a year are killed by 12 to 24 such murderers. The average serial killer takes 6 victims, then is caught or moves away or is killed himself. He says 1/3 of serial killings are committed by 2 or more murderers. Nearly all are males. In Prince George County, police believe they are looking for a male killer, but aren't sure if there is more than one. They have assigned a special task force with 25 detectives. Police are still trying to determine if another woman whose body was found nude and stabbed in the alley in Washington January 15th was a 6th victim. On January 30th, District Police charged Alton Best, 30, a lanky and unemployed groundskeeper, with the murder in Washington of Janice Morton, 20, a nurse's aide. Police believe Morton was killed in a black van owned by Best's nephew, a D.C. policeman who had been placed on leave during an investigation. Wow. I mean, that's insane right there. Authorities said they have established no link between the murder of Morton and 5 other women. Have we eliminated the guy as a possible suspect? Hell no, said Major James Ross of the Prince George County Police. There are things that must be checked out, and it's premature to make a judgment. Other clues were sought thousands of miles away. In early February, Los Angeles detectives investigating a serial killing of... Yeah, I already talked about that. On February 3rd, about 120 Suitland residents met with police to express concerns. The first body found in Suitland was that of Dorothy Miller, 20. Police initially believed she died of a drug overdose. Cocaine was found in her body, but reopened the investigation after additional bodies were found. That's right, so she was strangled. No drugs were found in the other 4 women. The last body found was that of Angela Wilkerson. Wait, what does it say up here? Medical examiners say it appears some of the women found in Suitland were sexually assaulted, but they say the bodies of others were too decomposed to make a ruling. At least one of the 5 Walls put up a struggle. Juanita had long, strong fingernails, and police say she used them to fight back. A photograph of Walls hangs over the television set in the Washington apartment of Donna Blackney. They cite it as a program from a January 20th memorial service for Walls. Blackney said she tried to convince her aunt not to smoke PCP, but Juanita was a grown-up and she did what she wanted to do. Cynthia Westbury lived less than a mile away with her mother, brother, and sister. A few days after she disappeared, the post office called Westbury's home to hire her as a clerk. We had to tell the post office that she was a missing person. Carolyn West, let's see. She said Cynthia was quiet. She drank some wine but didn't do drugs. She wanted to get a job so she could buy nice clothes. Yeah, this is just crazy. How come this, like, have you, any of you even heard of this case before? I mean, it's just, it's weird. I mean, this is like one that seems like it would make an interesting podcast or something. You know, you get a hold of people. And police still digging for leads in Suitland slangs. Yeah. And this is on, let me see if this is worth, well, this is about 2 weeks later. Initially, police believe that the woman, okay, let's see. The older crime gets, the more difficult it becomes to solve. It says right here, children found the body December 13th. Initially, police believe that the woman, Dorothy Miller, 20, of the 500 block of Newcomb Street, died of a drug overdose. But police later said that Miller and the 4 other women, Juanita Walls, 26, Cynthia Westbury, 22, Angela Wilkerson, and Pamela Malcolm, all might have been victims of the same killer. The last 2 bodies were found during a massive search of the area. All 5 victims were black women. 4 of the victims lived in southwest Washington. 4 of them had been stabbed in the upper body. The 5th died of a drug overdose, and police believe she had also been choked. Okay, well, that's what you just denied up above there. All right. So that was March 25th, 1987. And then April 22nd. Yeah, they've got to have DNA from, like, the one that was found 2 days after she was killed. You would hope that they would have collected DNA from her. Because she wasn't going to be decomposed, and it was winter in Washington. DC suspect linked to Suitland victims. All right, so here we go. Here's that one, the individual. The 4-month-old investigation of the slayings of 5 women found in a wooded area in Suitland has established links between 3 victims and a southeast Washington man charged in the strangulation of a 20-year-old woman in the district, a source close to the investigation said. D.C. and Prince George's County police sources have previously said that Alton Alonso Best, 31, who was charged with first-degree murder in the death of Janice Elaine Morton, southeast, was acquainted with 2 of the Suitland victims. Oh boy. Now a link with a 3rd victim has been established, pushing Best to the forefront as a suspect, according to the source, who said 3 possible significant pieces of information have emerged in the investigation. Police have received information from a witness placing one of the Suitland victims in a black van. Oh, look at that. So police have received information from a witness placing one of the Suitland victims in a black van owned by Best's nephew, William A. Arma, a D.C. police officer. D.C. police allege that Morton was killed in the van. Let's see. Police also have learned that Best and Arma, who had not been charged, shared an apartment 3 years ago. Wow, so police also have learned that Best and Arma, so Best is the suspect and Arma is the police officer, shared an apartment 3 years ago on Parkway Terrace Drive. Let's see where that is. So right here, wow, that's where they live. Yeah, it's so close, right in that area. In Suitland, about a mile away from the wooded area around the Bradbury Recreation Center. Police also have information that Best and one of the Suitland victims purchased drugs from the same dealer in southeast Washington, and that still another Suitland victim lived on the same street as the mother of Best's children. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So that means, you know, he had children with a woman, and one of the victims lives on the same street. County police yesterday received a subpoena initiated by Best's lawyer and issued by D.C. Superior Court. Paul Letter, Best's attorney, would not comment about the subpoena yesterday. Morton's death triggered round-the-clock police work because of similarities with the Suitland slangs. Morton and the 5 Suitland victims were black, in their early to mid-20s. All appeared to have been sexually assaulted and were stabbed to death or strangled. All but one of the victims lived in southeast Washington, as did Morton. Children found the first body December 13th in the wooded area north of Suitland. Initially, police believed that the woman, Dorothy Miller, 20, died of drug overdose, but police later said that Miller, I think this is like that same article. The black van owned by Arma, a 3-year member of the D.C. police force, was sent to the FBI laboratory in Quantico, but police said tests performed on the inside of the van, which was splattered with blood, did not uncover any physical evidence linking the van with any of the Suitland victims. Arma, whose role in the case is under investigation by D.C. grand jury, told police after Best's arrest that he had helped his uncle wipe off the blood after Best told him the blood was that of an injured friend. Arma has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. An affidavit filed in D.C. Superior Court, and you know what the thing is Arma would know exactly how to clean it to make sure that nobody would, you know, it wouldn't show anything when it got to Quantico. Let's see. Best was charged in 1981 with armed robbery and kidnapping while driving the same black van. Wow. In which police allege that Morton was killed. The document states that Best kidnapped and robbed 2 young females and tied them up while in the rear of the van. This is 1981. And so this took 88 is this case. Wow, that shows you that I wouldn't be shocked at all if this Arma, the cousin or uncle, whatever the hell he is, he knew something about this, because it sounds like he abducted these women and held them for a while. Doesn't it? Because the one girl, she went missing way before, like she was murdered 2 days before she was found, but she was last seen 6 days prior to that. To the 2 days. So it was literally like she's being assaulted for 6 days, then murdered, and then found 2 days later. All right, you guys. Do you want me to do some pirouettes or? Here, hold on. Gray, you're so mean. Okay, and yeah, because right now we're not at a mug level yet. We're about $80 short of just doing our first mug. Unfortunately, man, the damn economy screwed up everything. I guess I could lower it. I'll start sending out stickers. Maybe you guys wouldn't want stickers, though. That would kind of suck. case has turned out to be really... Yeah. Well, it seemed like it was going to be interesting. But, man, I tell you what, the serial killer Sunday one... Man, that one will be interesting. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that. Yeah, I was right. The Putin gas hikes. It's all Putin. I mean, I'll tell you what, though. If the war did end, it would immediately... People would just go, yay! And the economy would just start firing up, even though there's no difference in inflation because we spent so much money. You guys ever look at that debt clock we got? Thank you, TTJO Tracy. Yeah. So that was April 22nd. And then we're going to go to April 23rd. Here. Link found, so that's pretty much the same thing.
This case has turned out to be really interesting.
Yeah, so one of the victims was placed in the very same black van. I mean, what are the odds of that? What is the criteria? Well, serial killers, I think you have to kill more than... it's 3 or more people. And... not in like the same house or something, and usually the victims don't know each other. And it's not at the same time, because that would be like a spree killing. You know, like one night if you kill 3 people that don't know each other, I think that would be more of a spree killer. Serial killer is like there's time in between, and like I already said that, Maeve. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Everyone going to be looking for a white van, so I got a black van. Huh? Who said that? Huh? I need the actual... Huh? There we go. That's so much better. So much better. Alright. So here we go. A suspect in 3 Suitland slaying pleads guilty. Wow, so this is in June. Not much later. Alton Alonso Best, a 31-year-old district man, acknowledged yesterday that he beat and strangled a woman in a van owned by a D.C. police officer before dumping her battered body in a northeast alley. Best pleaded guilty in D.C. Superior Court with D.C. Superior Court Judge Walton presiding. Police in Prince George County and the district have since said they have been able to establish links between 3 of the Suitland victims and Best, but have found no direct evidence tying Best to the Suitland slangs. Best lawyers have denied any involvement by their client. Prince George's County Police said yesterday that Best was still a prime suspect in their investigation. Best remained expressionless yesterday as a federal prosecutor described him as a man with a history of using force in sex and demanding sex for cocaine. He does sound like a really good suspect. The defendant frequently stated that no one would get coke from him without having sex with him. Charles Morton, who lived in the district, and the 5 Suitland victims appear to have been sodomized before being strangled or fatally stabbed, and most of them appear to have been drug users. Apparently surprised by the latest revelations, Best's lawyer, Paul Letter, said he had never heard anything to support the allegation about Best's character. Best pleaded guilty in exchange for the government's agreement to drop first-degree murder and rape charges in connection with Morton's death, and a separate cocaine charge. Best could be sentenced from 18 and a third years to life. Best's decision to plead guilty once he is sentenced apparently frees prosecutors to call Best to testify before a grand jury investigating the action of his nephew and the owner of the van, D.C. police. Oh, that's right. So a nephew is somebody different than the... Let's see. Arma flashed his police badge when he pulled over a Prince George's County. Let's see. Arma flashed his police badge when he was pulled over by Prince George County Police during a well-publicized surveillance for a black van, in which a witness reported seeing one of the Suitland victims. Hall yesterday described the early morning hours preceding Morton's death as a moving party in search of cocaine. He said Morton, who had just met Best that morning at the home of a mutual friend, eventually agreed to go with Best in a black van to buy more cocaine. Morton's nude and battered body was found later with a brassiere tied tightly around her neck. Jeez. Psycho. Alright, then, let's see. So this is now we're in December of 1987. Let's see. The sky was streaking pink and the residents of Whitehall Square Apartments in Suitland were coming home from work. Dottie Shaw, 15, and 4 other neighborhood friends lounged on the steps of one of the red brick, green shuttered buildings they recalled last year, and the bodies in the field next door. There were 5 bodies eventually, all black women, all in their mid-20s, all small in build. The first was found by children a year ago tomorrow. The last 2 by Prince George County police recruits on January 13th. The killings, which all still unsolved, came to be known as the Suitland murders. Hold on.
Huh?
I wasn't scared, joked Shaw. Hey, it says huh right there. That was perfect. A round-faced Forestville High School freshman with a big black bow in her hair. I wasn't scared because I stayed in the house the whole time. For weeks last winter, reporters and police investigators scoured the area. The volunteer protective group, the Guardian Angels, came down from New York wearing their red berets and met the children from Whitehall Square at the bus stop every day. Suddenly home, a secluded, well-kept complex bordered by 300 acres of cemeteries, was distinguished mainly by its proximity to a macabre private burial ground. It was an exciting time to be living there. It was also spooky. The children at Whitehall Square had heard about a serial killer before, of course, or they've heard of serial killers before in television movies, television news, but this was different. This was yellow police lines and decomposed bodies turning up in their own playground. This was real life, real death. They could watch from the bedroom window. I wasn't worried, said Khalil Michaels, 11, sitting on the hill at the edge of the complex that overlooks Edgar Allan Poe Cemetery, or elementary school, where he attended 6th grade. I knew he wasn't going to get me. He went for women. I still think about it sometimes, he added, scooping up handfuls of slate rock and spilling them on the blue jean knees as he talked. I see people going up in the woods looking strange. Maybe that's him. Sometimes my friends say, let's go over there and explore, but I don't want to. I don't know. I just hope he doesn't ever come back over here anymore. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is just... I think it's just kind of like a... Wow, it's pretty long. I don't really want to go through that whole thing. Doesn't seem like it's... let's see. Police were never able to determine if the 5 women, all partly clothed, all but one of them stabbed, were killed in Suitland or if the bodies were just dumped there. None of them lived at Whitehall Square, although one of the victims, last seen walking to a store to buy a beer and cigarettes, lived at nearby Shadyside Garden Apartments. The others lived in Southeast. The county police investigation, initially led by 25-officer task force working 16-hour days, is now the responsibility of a single investigator who checks the dwindling new leads and brings the case up to date. Every new body that turns up, including that of a 36-year-old go-go dancer in Bowie 2 weeks ago, is checked for similarities, but there have been no further Suitland-type murders. Well, it's interesting, right? Because they've got a guy in jail that likely did it, in prison. It appeared that police might have a break in the case when the body of a young black woman of similar description was found dumped in a northwest alley within a week of the discovery of the last of the 5 bodies, Janice Elaine Morton. On January 30th, police arrested Alton Best, 30, a National Park Service laborer who would be familiar with parks, who lived in Southeast, and charged him with Morton's slaying. In August, Best, who admitted to a drug problem, pleaded guilty to Morton's slaying and was sentenced to 18 1/3 years to life. Initially, Best was considered a leading suspect in the Suitland murders, but investigators apparently found no evidence linking him to the deaths. Well, they found links to the women. In the press, Mr. Best became the Suitland murderer, and that is horrible for him and his family, said the attorney, Neil Gravitz, who works with the Public Defender Service. In an interview, Ross would not comment on whether Best remains a suspect in the Suitland murders. He also refused to comment extensively on the lifestyles of the 5 slain women, and rather sensational point during the early investigation. 4 of the 5 women frequented Clancy's nightclub, featuring exotic dancing on Good Hope Road in Southeast Ross. Hey, are you still out there, TTJO? Did you ever find those other, where they lived, the other 2 women? It's a straight shot up Suitland Road from Whitehall Square Apartments, a 3-mile drive from the burial ground. Outside the two-tone building that houses Clancy, is decorated with shamrocks, leprechauns, and strings of blinking lights. Inside are a pool table, the standard beer posters, and signs warning, "Do not touch the dancers." Oh, it's like, I was just wondering if you ever found those places where those other 2 girls live. Didn't really say, though, ever. Nobody at Clancy's on a recent night acknowledged knowing any of the Suitland victims. It is the way of serial slayings, perhaps, that the names of the victims, the particulars of their lives, get lost in the magnitude of the crime. The Suitland victims were Dorothy Ann Miller, 20, Pamela Maria Malcolm, 25, Angela Maria Wilkerson, 22, Juanita Marie Walls, 26, and Cynthia Lee Westbury, 22. In a basement apartment on Stanton Road, not far from Clancy, not far from Whitehall Square, a family continues to mourn Cynthia Westbury. Huh? I'm trying to... what question are you referring to? Did she even ask a question? Poor sweet kid lives next door to her bodies were. I don't know. Lives next to her bodies. What was the question? Wait. That is RM Bell. I don't know what the question is. Let's see. I want to, I don't know, let's see how much more is this one. Okay, so it just goes down to there. I just want to see what they're going to say here. In a basement apartment on Stanton Road. Okay, do we have Cynthia Westbury? Probably not. Okay, so let's go to Stanton Road. Is that also Stanton Road right there? Okay, so we got the right one. That's where she lives. So hers is in the right spot. Yes, it would make us feel better if it was solved. Oh. Well, I'm just saying he's a park worker. That would be the connection. Okay. Right? We already talked about that. Then we could put it to rest. And he also lived right next to there, a mile away. Just because we're black. Yeah, yes, it would make us feel better if it was solved. Then we could put it to rest, said Cynthia's brother, James Westbury, 28, who was paralyzed by an accidental gunshot wound 8 years ago. Hey, Dana Dane. Hey, it's good to see you. So good to come back, and family is so welcoming. Yeah, well, there you go. What have you been doing? You still doing your painting? I actually have a bunch of it up on the wall and stuff up there. Let's see. Then we could put it to rest that Cynthia's brother, James Westbury, 28, who was paralyzed by an accidental gunshot wound 8 years ago. I'd like to know why they did it, why they were picking on little. She didn't even weigh 105 pounds. Just because we're black and we live way over here in Southeast doesn't mean we're ignorant, Westbury said, citing indifference by police when the family first reported Cynthia missing. 2 months before, that's interesting. If the police had investigated that right away when she was reported missing, it might have led to something. Because then it's fresh in everybody's mind. Instead, you find her 3 months later, nobody remembers a damn thing. 2 months before her body was found, they told police that she was missing 2 months before she was found. We have feelings just like everybody else, and that was our sister. For Dottie Shaw and her friends at Whitehall Square, it isn't difficult to make that leap of imagination, to imagine themselves 5 or 10 years older in trouble facing the person who could end their life. It's creepy because it's real. You can't turn it off, said Nikki Webb, 14. I remember when it was going on, thinking, what if it's me? But the girls who described themselves as serious students said they would never go to a nightclub such as Clancy's. They wouldn't use drugs, they said, or go out with people they didn't know well. They have plans to become engineers, radio broadcasters, and pediatricians. It's not the kind of thing you want to think about for a long time, Shaw said of the Slings. Then she and her friends got up and strolled over to a nearby store, bought 20 Fireball candies, and walked back. It was time for homework. Yeah, it's going to be about the same. So then we're going to go to, let's see. Then October 1988, so almost 2 years later, a serial killer's footsteps fade from Maryland town. It was a glorious postcard autumn day here on the doorsteps of the national capital. Blue sky, crisp air, and warm sun. In the 20-acre wooded tract in the heart of Suitland, the first purples and crimsons and yellow were beginning to dapple the green. It may have been on such a day 2 years ago that the first of the bodies were dumped in those woods. The fear had begun. Before it was over, 5 women would lose their lives, police say. They died at the hands of the same killer. All were young black, but light-skinned, short hair. The Suitland murders, still unsolved, came to the mind in light of the recent Delaware murders of 3 young women and the disappearance of 2 others. All had been familiar figures along the 13 U.S. 40 corridor south of Wilmington. There had been no suggestion that events in the 2 localities, roughly 100 miles apart, are connected. Beyond the fact that both appear to be serial killings, there do not appear to be any similarities. Yeah, that's a long one. To the victims here were all black. The Delaware victims all white. The only common denominator is the fear generated. For the most part, Delawareans have not heard the grisly facts of the recent murders. Police have offered few details, but in Prince George's County, where Suitland lies, residents were given a chilling account of the discovery of one of the bodies. I looked down and saw Skullbone. A 16-year-old who was taking a shortcut through the woods was quoted as saying, "I took a stick to lift up the leaves. It was spooky. I found a gold chain beside the skull, and I did see stockings, clothing hanging on trees." Immediately following that gruesome discovery in January 1987, the third body to be found in the woods is in less than a month, police organized a search and found 2 more bodies. According to police, one of the victims died of a drug overdose, and others all beaten, stabbed, and strangled. Police said there were enough similarities among the 5 deaths to link them together. All are listed as homicides, but the bodies were in such a state of decomposition that police said it could not determine whether any had been sexually assaulted. I don't know, I think that doesn't sound to be accurate. Police said 4 of the victims were from southeast Washington, but the 5th, Pamela Marie Malcolm, 25, lived in the Shady Side Garden apartment complex with her mother, Jackie George. He said, every angle has been worked and reworked. Leo said that while once there were 25 officers working on the case, exploring the flood of tips that gush forth when a sensational case is front page fresh. There now, it's hard to read how this is. It's I can't tell if that's a dash right there or whatever that is. Marty Weber, a 42-year-old divorcee who works as an aide to the local congressman, helped organize the Whitehall Civic Association in order to deal with the crisis. She said the fear is always in the back of our minds, but that is no longer the preoccupying nightmare it once was. So anyway, it sounds like, they're just bringing it up again. This is 1988. Then, it's actually in Wikipedia, which is amazing that it actually made it there. Now let's see what it says in here on this. On January 15th, 1987, Best claimed that he was at a friend's house when Morton joined them. Okay, that's from that other murder. And then the D.C. murders is just on April 5th, the naked corpse of a woman was found on a street 5 days later while Best was incarcerated. The police received a call from 25-year-old resident of Suitland who claimed that a stranger had attempted to drag her into a dark-colored van and abduct her. While investigating the incident, while they were unable to catch the kidnapper, police realized that the attack had occurred only a block away from Pamela Maria Malcolm's home. While they were investigating the kidnapping, police received a report on April 15th about the location of another body on a street in D.C. The victim was Donna Nichols, who had been beaten to death. On June 24th, the body of 21-year-old Cheryl Henderson was found in a wooded area near southeast D.C., less than 2 kilometers from Suitland, with her killer having cut her throat. On September 21st, the body of an unidentified young woman was found in an abandoned housing complex. No definitive connection has been established between these killings and those in Suitland, as the official stance of the crimes is that they ended with Best's arrest. See, it is kind of interesting that, after Best was arrested, there no more of those murders happened. Right? So, anyways, that one remains unsolved. So, I'll tell you what we'll do. Since we didn't make it anywhere near the mug amount, I'll send out a notebook, okay, to the winner. So whoever wins the drawing, I'll send a notebook. You just have to send me the address. Does that sound good? Yeah, well, two of the girls, they didn't give it, but I think we're pretty close anyways. So 4 of the girls lived over in this area. Pamela Malcolm actually lived right there, right next to the park. And at one point, Bess, I think he's the killer, actually. He lives right there with his police officer relative, and who owned the black van. So I think that, and all the murders stopped after he was arrested. So there you go. Awesome. Well, it was a chock-filled night of information. So if anybody wants to get in on the spin for the notebook, you got a couple minutes. All right, so let me say thank you to Brian Joe, Kathy Fredmaker, Tracy, LM, Jessica Schubach, LM, Mama 457 Rose, Alley Cake. Although if you live in a foreign country, it doesn't work for me. The notebook costs like $20 minimum to ship it out there. It's crazy. Let's see. Unless you do the PayPal thing for the notebook, that's different. All right, but just to win it as a prize. So Tracy, LM, Jessica Schubach, LM, Mama 457 Rose, Alley Cake, Alice Batak, LM, Eugenie, Billy Juliana, RM Bell, Colin Pendleton, Your Gypsy, Linda Howell, Jessica Schubach, Hella Tricks, Catty Corner, Lane Dune, Charisma, Jessica Schubach, TTGO, J.O. Tracy. So very cool. Yeah, it's crazy. And so we'll be doing a serial killer on Sunday. Should be an interesting one. And then on PayPal, thank you to Peggy Day, B Mountains, The Velvet Army for a generous donation there, thank you. And Being Nancy, thank you very much. And this account on there. All right, Zozo. Yeah, you're gonna love it. It's actually pretty interesting. I did address that one topic again though, but I think I gave a pretty good explanation. All right, let's see. No, I do serial. I have a series called.
Thanks, Legend.
Thank you. I have a series called Serial Killer Sunday, where I went over the whole Ted Bundy, going through all the newspaper articles. That one took a couple of days, I think. And it was really interesting. I remember so much about that one. Did most of you watch that one, the Ted Bundy series? That was really cool. It was just crazy reading the accounts, describing this guy with a Volkswagen Bug and a brown Volkswagen Bug, and his little techniques where he'd pretend like he was injured and stuff in various locations. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, and then we did one on Ed Kemper and a couple other ones too. Yeah. I think there's a playlist on that. But yeah, we got another one coming up now, so. Oh, and looks like Sooner History right at the buzzer there on the Cash app. All right, here we go. And thank you all for, helping support the channel. Either hit the like button if you can, make a comment, after the show. I know that you don't have anything to ask because by the time the show's over, you know everything. But, if you have any comments or anything that you want to talk about, I guess it helps somehow. I don't ever push that, but other people are like, hey, go comment, leave a like, and, all that stuff. And I don't really say that too often, so. All right, there you go. Ding, 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 ding. I do too. It's like most. All right, this is going to be for the notebook, all right? And if you live in Canada or some other place, I'll have to send you the mug instead. Look at that. Mama 457 Rose. All right. That was a pretty good one too, because there was, like some people had like 30, or one person did. All right, here we go. What's going on, Blue? How's it going, buddy? Come here, buddy. Come here. Where's Chloe? No, I think Toy Airy. Yeah, I'm just sort of in this mode where I keep trying to, try the hardest I can to keep up what we've been doing, but I know it's like, it probably gets old when I'm like, hey, everybody, just trying to, I don't know what you call it, just, one of the things I hate doing the most is the fundraising part, I wish it just sort of happened. Yeah, but if you're not a channel member, well, everybody here is a channel member except Chloe's mom. Let's see. Where is Mama 457 Rose? She was just here a little bit ago. Yep. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll keep working on the... get all the stuff ready for the Serial Killer Sunday. I think you'll all find it pretty interesting. It's going to be a lot of reading, so you know what that means, everybody. An absolute killer of a night. Oh, there's Chloe. looking at, Chloe? Come here, Chloe. Come here. Oh, she won't do it. Come here. Chloe, come here. Come here. Oh, she hates me now. She just keeps looking at Chris over there. Yeah, she is. What are you doing, Blue? Doesn't Blue look guilty of something right there? What'd you do, Blue? Ah, man, he looked guilty as hell right there. You gotta admit, he looked guilty. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So what the hell's going on, everybody? Maybe I'll sit here for 8 more minutes. You know? Well, thanks, Hellatrix. I'll put that in for tomorrow. Clear that batch out. Boom. Right there. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was. Why did they jump up? What did they think they were going to get? You were going to give them? Oh, they look like they thought you were going to give them something. Looks like that when you should see one of the. I gotta film it one time. But like if Blue pooped or something, let's say he accidentally went to the bathroom somewhere, and you catch him on it, he does the weirdest walk. It's like this. It's like this. He looks like he should have a job at like in San Francisco on a street. Just paint them all gold or something. I mean, because he does the slowest walk in the history of the world. Like just literally, just kind of. It's so weird. I definitely have to film it. I almost have to set something up. Like go Blue, you know what's going on. Yeah. Really, Toy Airy hides my husband's fragrant socks. Now that's a little odd. The fragrant socks part, you know, it's. I don't know if he wanted that out there or not. Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's so amazing. It's just like as if he walks slow. I'm not going to notice him. Nice try, Blue. Nice try. Chloe. What'd I do wrong, Chloe? Come here. She's like, I think she got to sleep on the bed for a while. She's like, I want to go back there. Every night, I'm the bad guy, right? So my wife goes to sleep early, and then Chloe's sleeping on the edge of the bed all wrapped up in a blanket. And then I come into the room after I've done my show, and it's like 10:30, 11. And then Chloe pretends that she can't see me, but I watch her eyes following me around because she knows right then she's going to be picked up. And, you know, but then it's weird because then you put her outside and she runs in so happily to her crate. Yep, that was me. Yeah, at least now they look at me. Yeah. Yeah, Chloe's just so bugs him so much. Let's see what happens if I got them. See if they'll wrestle or something. Let's see what happens. You gonna box? Are you boxing? What's that sound, Blue? Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's hear that sound he's doing. That's crazy. Right, Blue? Yeah. Chloe gets up and like tries to box. Did you see that? Yep. All right. Okay. Well, anyways, thanks you guys for being here tonight. And yeah, we're still trucking along for the month. Hey, the stock market went up a little bit today. Well, not really. But it was better than going down 800. Did you guys find the stories interesting tonight, at least? Hopefully. I mean, I wish we had more on the... I mean, it was ridiculous how little information there was on the case of Detra McGuire, where apparently she goes missing and somebody just chucks her baby out a window on a street, and then she makes it to, or her car makes it to a truck stop, and she goes missing forever, and they think maybe the boyfriend had something to do with it. And, you know, there isn't even one story in the newspaper. Unbelievable. Cool. Yeah, I'm telling people, if you never liked Chihuahuas, I would tell you to get one. I was somebody that always hated Chihuahuas, and the reason I hated them is because I didn't even, you know, like, I mean, they always seem to bark or something at me, growl or whatever. But you know, like I said before, my wife, where she works, somebody said, "Oh, we got this Chihuahua. We're never home. Do you guys want him?" And I went, "This is my real reaction." She goes, "Great, we can bring a Chihuahua home." And I goes, "Ah, Jesus. Oh God." I go, "Okay, go ahead." Right. Then she brings the Chihuahua home, and I sat on this couch that we got over here, and he just jumped up. I went, "Come here," and he jumped up, and he just put his head right here, and he just pressed into my chin, and he was just, oh God, it was like, oh God, I like literally within 5 minutes I go, "Yeah, we'll take him." All right. Yeah, he's been one of the best dogs. I mean, he's a bit, you know, we got really lucky because Chloe's really cool and Blue's totally cool too, you know. But yeah, it was just boom. Yeah, thanks, Hellatrix. Yeah. Yeah, like for example, the serial killer that I'm going to cover, I would say that most people haven't heard of. Let me tell you the guy. Danny Rawling. From 19... I mean, let me just tell you one thing that this guy did. All right, just to throw it out there. Listen to this. One of the things he did was, so he... you know, during a segment of his serial killing, he went in and he killed he went into a woman's apartment, tied her up, forced her face down, and then he sexually assaulted her. Then he took a knife and stabbed her right in the back, puncturing her aorta. Then he flipped her over on her stomach and cut her from the pubic bone all the way up to the rib cage, and then he left. But when he got home, he realized he couldn't find his wallet, so he went back over to the house, and when he got there, he cut her head off, put it up on a mantle facing the body that he then posed on the bed, sitting up with no head, And he said he just did it because he wanted to have shock value for the police who found her. I mean, this guy, like, that's one of the most psycho things I've ever heard in my life. Okay. So, you know, not to throw it out there, but I couldn't believe what I was reading here. And I've never even heard of this guy. This guy should be on the top of the list. You know? And it might be, you know, it might take a while to get through it, you know, because it's, I don't know, just like the articles are long. There's one that talks about how, you know, what made him the what he is. It might be interesting to read that, to see what they come up with. Yeah, it's horrendous, man. Man, unbelievable. And I thought it was just limited to those 5, but there's a whole bunch of other people. So I think he's killed at least 8 people. At least 8. So that's what you have to look forward to, everybody. Isn't that great? Unbelievable. You're like, God, did you have to stay on that long? You were just talking about the puppies. Everything was so great and jolly. And then you bring up the sickest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Well, I didn't mean to. Well, I did mean to, because I was just giving you a hint of the barbarian. All right. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Thanks for just the absolute, you know, the chat's just zipping by so fast I can hardly keep up with any of the comments. All right, so we'll see you guys tomorrow. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.
Golly, Green, that was sick, man. That's a sick story. You gonna tell that one? Gee.
Yes, it's a serial killer. It's a crazy story.
That is a crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Grader's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, analyzer, fool deflector, interceptor.
Shut up, Mary.
And I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector.
Good, Grant, just like to sing.
With all
But not like that. You sound like a
just remember
weirdo.
I've a to fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Hey, did you hear that, Mary Lou? Zozo said you sounded like a goat.
Well, screw you, Zozo. I don't like you anymore.
Well, I don't think she... Well, she says she likes you sometimes because she hates John Boy and Timmy so much, okay? But, I mean, in the real world, she wouldn't like you. You're just better than those two.
Oh, Gray, that isn't very nice.
Huh? It's a house!
Yeah, it's a house, Mary Lou.
What does that got to do with anything? They're mean to me, Gray.
Well, I'm glad they're mean to you, Mary Lou. You deserve every bit of meanness they give you.
That's not very nice.
That's like the word. Mary Lou, you can't even cry where it sounds legitimate.
Well, I do better ones too, Gray. There's times where people believe me. You believe me sometimes. You even apologized one time. And then I wasn't really crying. You remember that?
Yes, I remember, Mary Lou. But tonight you're terrible, okay? All right, so good night, everybody.
Good night, Gray. Gee.
Wow.
Huh? It's a house!
5 brain cells, 4 aren't working. Did you hear what I said? You know, that's just one step above stupid. There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
Okay, bye!
Bye!